Chapter 698. When Su Fong flew out of the cave, this cave that had been built not long ago was already empty. "Look, please move." The sect master of 5 venoms, Li Ziqing, the 2 magnates, Marquis Qin Yuanho, Holy King Guangzhou, Elder Song Hao, Grand Elder Red Lotus, Grand Elder He Zun, and the other 10 experts, flew out of the Nebula Galaxy with Su Fong. There were only 3 people left: Su Fong, Green Feather King, and Li Haojia. After the army flew out for a while, the 3 of them slowly followed behind. The army appeared in the sky, getting closer and closer to the dust galaxy. It took them 2 years to fly out of the Nebula Galaxy and enter the cleared galaxy passage. Sister Yu led the God's sex experts to clean up the dust galaxy. This time, she would not participate in the battle. She was responsible for leading the God's sex experts to continue to seal the passage after taking back the mortal Emperor world. The army passed through the unopened dust galaxy and entered the galaxy passage that led to the mortal Emperor world. The Lord of 5 Poisons immediately ordered the 10 experts to lead 1,000 experts each, forming 10 camps and continuing to fly into the depths of the galaxy passage. Soon, the mortal Emperor world vaguely appeared in front of everyone. In the middle of the 2, there was a sensing barrier separating them. There was a small barrier on a meteorite above the barrier. More than 20 experts were sitting cross-legged and connected to the barrier. If someone broke through the barrier, these people would know. At this moment, 3 pairs of eyes appeared above the meteorite. "Senior, Brother Fong, you don't have to do anything this time. Watch me." Li Haojia volunteered. When Su Fong planned to launch a sneak attack and suppress these experts, he suddenly stepped forward with a cold smile and approached the experts hidden in the depths of the meteorite. Hiss! A spark of a Tao artifact slowly overflowed from Li Haojia's eyes. Blood Curse Soul Binding Technique. This Tao artifact must be the energy-suppressing demon transforming heavenly book. Wasn't it a demon-suppressing Tao artifact? Could also suppress humans? Li Haojia bit his finger and made a blood-colored seal. Circles of blood-colored seals turned into Xian Guang and merged with the Tao artifact's power. None of the experts in the array formation ahead of them noticed what was happening behind them. They guessed that no one would appear from the Nebula Galaxy behind them. They were all cultivating quietly. Wah! A large amount of strange, blood-red, twisted Tao treasures suddenly descended from above the formation. They weren't shackled by the galaxy. The Tao treasures were almost on par with the galaxy of Small World. Tut-tut, toot in the blink of an eye, streaks of twisted, blood-colored divine might from the Tao treasure struck the formation. Strangely enough, before the blood-colored divine might could shatter the formation, it forcefully penetrated and drilled into the formation. Only then did the experts inside notice the movement. A second ago, they didn't know whether the movement came from the sensing array or from the surroundings. When they raised their heads, their eyes were pierced by the blood-colored Tao artifact's divine might, causing them to be unable to open their eyes. Layers of blood-colored Tao artifacts divine might fell onto their bodies like a large net. At this time, they could finally see the blood-colored Tao artifact's divine might. It was a layer of blood-colored phosphorescent light that looked like many blood-colored scales pieced together. When it struck the 20-plus experts, it was like they were wrapped in a quilt. It was like they were wearing blood-colored robes. The blood-colored robes devoured the experts' defenses, true chi, and auras. They were shackled to their bodies. After struggling to resist, they were all wrapped up in the blood-colored robes. They were like blood-colored mummies. When they all calmed down and became like blood cocoons, the blood-colored phosphorescent Taoist robes on their bodies flashed with blood-colored runes at the same time, releasing the power of their Tao treasures. High up in the sky, Green Feather King praised, "I didn't expect Li Haojia to be so strong. Kid, his cultivation speed is only a bit lower than yours. What a genius." Just now, he used the blood seal art. Although it's rare, many experts have mastered it. However, he perfectly fused the blood seal art with the Tao artifact, as well as his own monster catching art. The Tao artifact first suppressed the experts, making them unable to resist, and then used the blood seal to shackle the experts' young souls and physical bodies. Su Fong said, Li Haojia has a Tao artifact, and it seems that he has fused quite a bit with it recently. In addition, he's a monster-catching master, so it's not surprising that he has this ability. Furthermore, when he was born, the world changed. According to him, the divine sun that rose in the sky released a force that struck his body. That's why he has extraordinary strength. He's also the second genius Junior has met. There's a female disciple of the twin immortal sect called Zhang Riyun who had the same experience as him. She's also a unique genius. When the divine sun rose, this king was able to escape the seal because of it. Li Haojia and that Zhang Ruoyin you mentioned have limitless future achievements. Let's go. After saying that, the two of them waited for a moment. When they saw that those experts were motionless, they flew toward Li Haojia. Coming to the barrier, Su Fong used his supernatural power to find the eye of the formation in the depths of the formation. There were many rune talismans. Taking away these rune talismans, the sensing barrier blocking the passage of the Star River disappeared without a trace. These people can be refined into puppets, monster-suppressing puppets. Li Haojia also absorbed the experts that had turned into blood people into the light of the Tao artifact. All of this was a piece of cake for him. The Lord of Five Poisons and Li Ziqing led the experts across the dust cloud. The clearer the human sovereign world was in front of them. Sect Master, I will give you 918 Big Goblin. They can cooperate with you to attack the Xinyuan Empire's army, especially the two big goblins, the 9-segment Earth Dragon and the Zhuhuang. Each of them has a Tao artifact. When they are used, the two big goblins can deal with a large number of the Xinyuan Empire's army. With these small commanders, they can even deal with tens of thousands of Xinyuan Empire's experts. After killing the Xinyuan Empire's experts, we will let them be responsible for moving the human sovereign world according to the plan. The army slowed down as the Lord of Five Poisons and the 10 great experts communicated. Soon after, the 10 great experts led their respective experts and flew into the dusty Star River on both sides. They used a large amount of materials to surround the human sovereign world from both sides. Nearly 1,000 big goblins were released by Su Fong. The 9-segment Earth Dragon and the Zhuhuang led them to appear out of thin air. Over 1,000 big goblins, especially the 9-segment Earth Dragon who had the violent lion's tooth, and the Zhuhuang who had the demon god's fury. The two Tao artifacts were amazing. The Zhuhuang could fight with the immortal toad with just one Tao artifact. Could there be an expert like the immortal toad in the Xinyuan Empire's army? In addition, the 9-segment Earth Dragon was an even more powerful big goblin. Although the Tao artifact could not reach the level of the Zhuhuang, its attack power was unstoppable. The Tao artifact would be invincible in the battle with the Xinyuan Empire's army. You really made me look at you differently. These two big goblins have amazing strength. Each of them can use a Tao artifact. The religious master of 5 venoms stood with his hands behind his back as he sized up the group of great demons. He chuckled and said, I will take these great demons and directly descend to the upper reaches of the mortal sovereign world. We will attack the headquarters of the Xinyuan Empire. Once the 2 Tao artifacts are used, the headquarters will be destroyed. The other 10 armies will also surround us from the surroundings and coordinate with us from the inside. I will have to trouble the 2 seniors outside. This junior will go first and wait for my news. There was no time to lose. Su Fong even took out the Zhuhuang, the 9-segment Earth Dragon, and the junior commander. It could be seen that he was going all out to take back the human emperor world. These were his life-saving means. After bidding farewell to the Lord of 5 Poisons and Li Ziqing, the 3 quickly arrived at the front of the human emperor world under the concealment of the Tao artifacts. He used the Saint Emperor Divine Origin Scripture's aura to persist in the bodies of Green Feather Monarch and Li Haojia. In this way, the 3 of them had the same aura as the Xinyuan Empire. He also took out the world origin of the human emperor world. In a breath's time, Su Fong could sense a lot of movements on the surface of the human emperor world. After entering the human emperor world, They gradually approached the Xinyuan Empire's base camp. When they reached the periphery of the base camp, he used the World Origin Scripture's Divine Origin Scripture and brought Green Feather Monarch and Lihaogia to the Earth's core. Their speed was not fast, only around the undead realm, but they were able to pass through the rock layer without making a sound. After spending almost a day, they finally got close to the space where the third prince and the left and right elders were. Su Fong could not sense the aura of the true realm crown prince and the Grand Marquis monarch. These two experts should be overseeing the base camp. This was good. Their opponents were the left and right elders, the third prince, and nearly 100 terrifying experts, all of whom were elders and grand elders. This is the passage that connects this space to the Xinyuan Empire's base camp. It was a passage in the void, but they could still see some seals appearing in a hole less than 3 feet in diameter. This hole was dug out by the experts of the Human Emperor world. Then, the Xinyuan Empire set up formations and spirit stones in the hole to create a passage. Green Feather Monarch and Lihaogia opened their eyes. They had never seen a passage that could extend from the ground to the Earth's core in the Zhuotian realm. At this time, the three of them were floating around the passage. Su Fong thought for a while and said, "When I use the power of the Human Emperor's inheritance and completely envelop the Earth's core, I will inform the Sect Master and let them attack. Then, Senior, you will break this passage here and let the Earth's core lose contact with the top. Then, we will work together to deal with the experts in the Earth's core." Green Feather Monarch had no objection. He and Lihaogia saw Su Fong approaching the Earth's core barrier. Outside the barrier, they immediately used the power of the world of the Human Emperor world. Su Fong had obtained the Human Emperor's inheritance. This kind of inheritance was not ordinary world power, but the power of a small world that a powerful Human Emperor once cultivated in the Human Emperor world. Even if the third prince absorbed more world power, he could not compare to Su Fong in terms of the overall use of the Human Emperor world. Gradually, Su Fong used his great circle ability and clearly felt the power of the world's ruler. He absorbed the subtle, surging world aura in the depths of the Earth's core. Then, all the world power followed the power of the Human Emperor's inheritance and swept around the Earth's core. Soon, he found that there was abundant world power in the depths of the Earth's core. If it was really destroyed or absorbed by the third prince, the impact on the Human Emperor world would be very serious. Third prince, even if you have the assistance of a Dao item like the Yuan Refining Immortal Bead to improve your ability, you are still far from me. About a month later, using the power of the Human Emperor's inheritance, Su Fong finally controlled the Earth's core in the palm of his hand. Then, he released his consciousness and projected it to the Lord of Five Poisons. This consciousness used the tunnel dug by the Xinyuan Empire to quickly travel to the surface. After a few breaths, the consciousness flew out of the Xinyuan Empire's headquarters and into the starry sky above. Buzz, just above the headquarters, the Lord of Five Poisons and Li Ziqing led a group of big goblin and were waiting. As the consciousness passed through, the Lord of Five Poisons was instantly caught in the palm of his hand. The Lord of Five Poisons looked at Li Ziqing and said, "This kid is already prepared below. Let's attack. This time, let's kill to our heart's content." Li Ziqing nodded and smiled. The two leaders immediately led a group of big goblin and quickly flew down to the Human Emperor world below. In less than an hour, the headquarters of the Human Emperor world could be clearly seen, as well as the surrounding terrain. At the same time, a group of figures flew over from the left and right. The leaders were Qin Yuan Ho and the Holy King of Broad Illumination. They led an army and prepared to attack from both sides. Chapter 699. I'll take the lead. As they got closer to the Human Emperor world, they could see a large number of patrolling troops flying at a low altitude. In the next second, they could see the monsters in the sky with their naked eyes. The Vermilion Emperor started to demonize and turned into a giant pig monster. After the Vermilion Emperor turned into its true form, it breathed out 2 streams of demonic chi from its nostrils. They turned into red clouds and lifted its fat body. Its fangs were vibrating, and its eyes were like 2 blood-red lanterns. It stared at the Xinyuan Empire's base camp fiercely. Wrath of the Monster God. In the silent galaxy of the human emperor world, when they were about 3 miles away from the Xinyuan Empire's base camp, the Vermilion Emperor suddenly opened its mouth and spat out an indescribable Tao artifact. Everything in the sky was cold and still. Occasionally, there would be some galactic airflows. Suddenly, a long snake formed by demonic fire appeared in the dark sky. It looked like a demonic snake that came from the galaxy. It pierced through the starry sky and sizzled through the flames. What's that? Is it the flame of a meteorite? Above the base camp of the Xinyuan Empire, a group of patrolling cultivators happened to be flying over the ground. They sensed something and looked up at the same time. They saw a beam of demonic fire coming at them like lightning. It was the wrath of the monster god. No, that's demonic chi. An overlord saw something. Everyone was shocked as they followed the beam of demonic fire above them, leaving behind a huge demonic fire in the galaxy. The leader took out a talisman and his eyes trembled. Inform them. Before he could activate the talisman, he opened his mouth and saw the beam of demonic fire hit the barrier of the base camp. With a boom, the demonic fire broke through the barrier in an instant. Then, a long whip with demonic chi released the power of a Tao artifact and fell in the middle of the base camp's palace. Boom! In an instant, the palace turned into flames and was covered by the explosion. The destructive power of the Tao artifact created a destructive aura with the palace as the center and spread in all directions. Violent Lion's Tooth. In the demonic fire left in the Star River. First, it was the Vermilion Emperor, followed by the Lord of Five Poisons, Li Zuching, and the 9-segment Earth Dragon. Behind them were hundreds of big goblin. Poisonous gas surged out of the 9 segments of the Earth Dragon's body, and it instantly transformed into its true form. It was a gigantic blood-black centipede that was hundreds of meters long. It squeaked as it circled the galaxy. Just as the wrath of the demon god was about to launch a sneak attack on their headquarters, causing the entire area to tremble, the 9-section Earth Dragon shot out a beam of demonic light. The Berserk Lion's Tooth was wrapped in the demonic light. This Tao treasure suddenly released a large mass of indescribable divine power. Like a cannonball, under the spreading power of the demon god's wrath, it crashed into the dust-covered imperial palace with a loud bang. There was another huge shock. Who knows how many Xinyuan Empire soldiers and experts were killed by just these 2 big goblin Tao artifacts. The experts of the Xinyuan Empire were all cultivating in the barracks. Who knew that they would be attacked by Tao artifacts? There should be thousands of casualties. More importantly, it was a show of strength. Big Goblin, kill to your heart's content. The Lord of Five Poisons flicked his finger. Nearly 1,000 big goblins behind him exploded into their true forms. They transformed from their human forms into their true forms. The Flame-Tongue Monster, Sky Snow Flying Raccoon, Sky Domain Snow Lion, Sky Covering Monster, and other big goblin rushed out. The whole world was filled with big goblin. Demons were originally huge in size. When they charged over, they formed an overwhelming force. While the enemy is in chaos, kill. On the other side, Qin Yuanho received the order from the Lord of Five Poisons. He immediately ordered the thousands of experts who were lying in wait to take out their Dharma treasures and charge forward. Sacred King Guang Zhao also gave the order on the other side. Thousands of experts also went to provide support. The 2 experts from the Xinyuan Empire became the vanguard of the attack. Stir into a paste. Zhu Huang at this moment. It opened its mouth to control the demon god's fury. The demon god's fury turned into a whirlpool and suddenly swept towards the palace and the surrounding military camps. Wherever the Tao artifact went, there was only destruction. As for the 9-segment Earth Dragon, he was already filled with killing intent. He controlled the Violent Lion's Tooth and directly blasted a huge hole in the military camp. Mighty Divine Essence Cannon. Around the headquarters, the Xinyuan Empire reacted quickly. The barriers around the military camps suddenly disappeared, revealing huge cannons that were more than 100 feet long. These were not ordinary cannons. Experts specially took out black cannonballs that were more than a foot long and filled with seals from their empty bags. The cannons were not powered by gunpowder. They were powered by the auras of the surrounding experts. The cannons were like Dharma treasures shooting out the black cannonballs. This cannonball was aimed at the dozen big goblin that were charging down. It was too accurate. Among them, there was a sudden explosion. A cloud of black dust exploded high in the sky. More than a dozen big goblin were affected. 2 of them were even seriously injured. The other big goblin were also seriously injured. That's the famous mighty divine essence cannon of the Xinyuan Empire. It looks like a cannon, but it's actually a Dharma treasure. It's the most lethal weapon in the Xinyuan Empire's army. Let's seize these mighty divine essence cannons first. Suddenly, Qin Yuanho led the experts to the turbulent, dusty ground that was still under the attack of the Dao artifact. With a wave of his hand, the experts from different forces, but now they were all slaves of the Su Fong, attacked in all directions. Brotherly, let's seize those mighty divine essence cannons first. That's a big treasure. It's a Dharma treasure that's exclusively refined by the Xinyuan Empire. Its lethality is amazing. A cultivator at the first level of the feather transformation realm will be instantly obliterated, and other feather transformation realm experts will also be injured. The cannonballs contain a kind of power that destroys true chi ores. After the explosion, the fragments will hit the body. The power of those ores will release a strange power that causes true chi to spread in the body. It will prevent the cultivator from condensing true chi. In the sky, 2 figures came, the Lord of 5 Poisons and Li Ziqing. The Lord of 5 Poisons also knew about the mighty divine essence cannon. After he explained to Li Ziqing, the 2 immediately rushed toward the Xinyuan Empire barracks where the mighty divine essence cannon appeared. Don't panic. Immediately order the teams lying in ambush in all directions to open the mighty divine essence cannon and attack the invading enemies. The other barracks in ambush in the dark and the army also came to support. No one can be arrogant in front of the Xinyuan Empire. Amidst the turbulent rubble, Crown Prince Zhen Hua was in a sorry state. He had also suffered some injuries. He was currently giving orders to a dozen or so generals. At this moment, a yellow-robed elder was leading more than 100 experts. They were also rushing over in a sorry state. This elder should be the Tai Ho Wang. Many more generals appeared in the surroundings. The Tai Ho Wang and Crown Prince Zhen Hua looked at everyone. The Tai Ho Wang ordered, "We've already asked the Empire for help. What we need to do next is to kill these bastards. Don't leave a single one alive. So what if they sneak attacked our headquarters? The Empire has already set up barracks in different places in the human emperor world. Go and gather the scattered experts and form teams to kill the enemy." The generals received the orders and immediately flew in all directions. Rumble. Who would have thought that the berserk fiend god's fury would sweep through one of them, blasting a few generals who just happened to fly over into pieces of meat? Crown Prince Zhen Hua released a shocking emperor's chi. Senior Ho Wang, can you inform the left and right elders to protect the third crown prince? The Tai Ho Wang said, "We've already sent news to the secret passage. We should know by now." I reckon that the 5 Poison Divine sect is making trouble for the Empire again. Do they think that they can take away the human emperor world just like that? Old Marquis, you stay here and take charge of commanding the troops and generals. This junior will personally enter the battlefield and meet the experts of the 5 Poison Divine sect. Be careful. The 2 experts disappeared, deep in the Earth's core. Senior Su Fong, who had released the divine might of the human emperor's inheritance and sensed the entire Earth's core, revealed a pleasantly surprised smile. He sent a thought to the Green Feather King. Not far behind the Green Feather King suddenly spat out a mouthful of demonic chi. His hands clawed out a green claw, bringing along a green demonic light. With a claw, the claw clawed through the tunnel. Rumble. Suddenly, all kinds of barriers and seals were torn to pieces. This destructive force also caused the underground cave to begin to shake and collapse. Falling rocks quickly filled up the cave. There's movement. The formation in the Earth's core that was sealed by the barrier suddenly transformed into a mystic light, and one figure after another charged out. Oomph. Let's kill a few of your experts first. Su Fong activated his world's divine might from afar. He felt that most of the energy and matter here were under his control. When those experts charged out of the formation, they were greeted by sharp rocks that suddenly fell from above. Chi, the rocks were extremely sharp. In fact, they were made by Su Fong. Coupled with the control of his world's divine might and the shackles, they struck the unprepared experts who had just flown out of the formation. One by one, their hearts were pierced. Good kill. Li Zeching led Ao Zhen, a dozen big goblin, and more than 20 Xinyuan Empire experts who had just been suppressed. Those experts had all turned into blood-colored puppets. Enemy attack. Enemy attack. No one dared to charge out of the Earth's core formation anymore. There was a huge commotion inside. Some primordial spirits peeked out of the formation and saw Su Fong and Li Haojia approaching, causing an even bigger commotion. The Green Feather King also returned to the two's side. The three experts approached the Earth's core formation step by step. Buzz, buzz. At this time, Xian Guang's aura burst out of the formation. It was constantly reinforced, and the formation's sturdiness increased by several times. Many primordial spirit auras were focused on the three experts. Inside, one by one, the peerless experts of the Xinyuan Empire also gathered. At this time, an elder flashed out of the formation. It was the left and right elders' Earth Saint Protector. When he arrived, everyone bowed to him. Once he appeared, everyone quieted down. Then, another elder appeared. It was the Heavenly King Protector. Since the left and right elders had appeared, the third crown prince naturally also appeared. The third crown prince was the last to appear. He walked over step by step, emitting the aura of an emperor in world. His aura was now comparable to the left and right elders. It turned out that his strength had reached such a high level. Don't be anxious. What's the situation now? After the third crown prince appeared, he sat on the throne. The two protectors also sat on the left and right. An expert knelt down. Just now, the formation was suddenly attacked by someone. A few of our patrolling brothers went out and were instantly killed. The third crown prince coldly asked, "Is that person an expert of the five poison divine sect?" It doesn't seem to be an expert of the five poison divine sect. The true energy he used wasn't the five poison divine sect's true energy. Behind him were some big goblin and cultivator puppets. Altogether, there are more than 50 experts. It really doesn't seem to be the five poison divine sect. I've never heard of the five poison divine sect raising big goblin. I've already activated the formation. It should be able to stop these people. Two elders. Is there any movement above? Just now, I tried to sense it, but I couldn't send it out. I also couldn't activate the channel. Clearly, the enemy destroyed it. For now, we won't know what's going on outside. Crown Prince, you can only use the core of the human emperor world. That's the only way you can use the world's power to send your will out. Or you can stay outside the formation and sense the wills transmitted from above. I'll try. The third crown prince, the left and right elders nodded. He immediately released the power of the human emperor world. Chapter 700. His divine might burst out like the light of the stars. Strands of divine might were released into the surroundings and soon seeped out of the formation. The young souls of the third prince used the world divine might to sense the aura in all directions. The third prince could see everything inside the formation through the young souls. He frowned when he saw Su Fong, Green Feather King, Li Haojia, and the other puppets and Big Goblin approaching the formation. The Crown Prince was very surprised. These people are not from the Five Poison Divine sect. Just as he was about to extend his senses and world divine might to the rock layer, the world divine might burst out in front of him. At the same time, Jiang Yi's young infant sensed that an inexplicable world's origin had suddenly gathered from Su Fong. Furthermore, Su Fong's young infant controlled the world's divine might as he leaped up and shouted coldly at Jiang, "Third Crown Prince of Shenyuan Empire, it's been a long time since we last met. What a powerful young soul." Inside the formation, Su Fang's young soul's voice was also sensed by the left and right elders, as well as many experts. They all looked at the third prince in shock. The third prince's surprise turned into anger. The young soul, floating outside the formation, faced Su Fang. So you're the one who controls the aura of the human emperor world. You're the one who worked with the five poison divine sect to steal the human emperor's inheritance from me. Su Fang's young soul replied domineeringly, but it sneered, as expected of the empire's crown prince. You can see this just by releasing the world divine might. You're the one who sneaked into the spiritual camel immortal cauldron and stole the secret of the human emperor's bright wheel fragment. You stole my power. You're the one who fused with the human emperor's inheritance in the human emperor world. Oof. Even if you're skinned and turned into ashes, I'll still recognize you. The third prince was furious and murderous. You still dare to come here today? You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Fine, I won't have to search the entire world for you. Good. I'll suppress you alive and take over your body to take back everything that belongs to this crown prince. Buzz. The barrier suddenly disappeared. Nearly 100 experts protected the third prince as the barrier disappeared. They floated in the center of the man-made underground palace, while the barrier in the depths of the palace continued to float. When Su Fang, Peng King, and Li Haojia saw this, they knew that the third prince was going to attack with thunder and cut them into pieces. The Rock King held his breath as he watched the third prince bring experts over. Kid, I'll deal with the left and right elders. You deal with the third prince. It's not right for an old antique like me to deal with a young man. If the left and right elders join forces, they might be as strong as the sect master. I am a Yuan of a rock race. If I am unable to surpass the humans, I will be letting down my innate physical body. In addition, I have the Heaven Monarch Soul Sword and plenty of immortal stones. It might be difficult to deal with the left and right elders, but I have absolute confidence in killing them. Thank you, Senior. Brother Li and I will deal with the others. As for the third crown prince, we have to capture the leader first. As long as I suppress the third crown prince before leaving the battlefield, I will definitely be able to deter the Xinyuan Empire's army. Now, they could only deal with the three experts separately. After Su Fang agreed, the Xinyuan Empire experts in front gradually dispersed. They took out their artifacts one by one. As for the third prince, he was floating in the air. He was wearing a white jade robe with golden patterns. He had the aura of an emperor, making him look like a flock of chickens and ducks. Chi, the divine aura of the world, suddenly exploded like a falling meteorite. With such momentum, Su Fang suddenly rushed towards the third prince. The third prince nodded to both sides. You are not qualified to fight with me. Not qualified? Swish, swish. More than a dozen grand elders suddenly appeared in front of the third prince for both sides. They called out their artifacts, and their momentum was as strong as a mountain. They knew that these people were not easy to deal with. If they were easy to deal with, the human sovereign domain would have already fallen into the hands of the Xinyuan Empire. Boom! The momentum collided with the momentum released by the dozen grand elders. The result was obvious. Su Fang was stopped in midair by the momentum. Kill him. A few of the dozen grand elders instantly surrounded the third prince from both sides. Brother Fang, I'm coming. The divine aura of a Dao artifact turned into a giant book-like Xianguang, protecting Li Haojia and Ao Zhen. It immediately spun and attacked Su Fang from behind, attracting the attention of many experts. You think I'm alone? They came at the right time. No matter how confident he was, it was impossible for him to break through the Grand Elder's defense. Although Li Haojia was not on the same level as the Grand Elders, his overall strength and ability were not inferior to the Grand Elders. As expected, he attracted many experts to attack. Blood Ghost True Devil. However, there were too many Grand Elders protecting the third prince. Su Fang was still unable to break through their momentum. Suddenly, he slammed his palm to one side. A bloody figure appeared. Divine aura of a Dao artifact. World collapse. Don't forget that I am the true successor of the human sovereign. Do you think you can stop me? A great divine ability exploded above Su Fong. The divine aura of the world dominated all the energy and matter in the surroundings. It merged with the divine image, Jade Annulus, and turned into a giant palm that fell from above the dozen Grand Elders. The ground shook, and the dozen Grand Elders felt dizzy. Their momentum began to shatter. Taking advantage of the situation, the blood ghost True Devil entered the shattered momentum and spat out several blood-colored insects. Chi-Chi, the blood-colored insects' attacks were strange. They were as fast as lightning. The Grand Elders at the front felt a burning pain in their shoulders and calves. Surround and kill them. Outside, just as Su Fong was about to open up a path for Lihaojia to release the great demons and puppets to kill their way in, the Xinyuan Empire's Gao Shui surrounded them with a half-moon radius, wanted to wrap them up like dumplings. At this moment, the big goblin Green Feather King suddenly flew out. The 3 Grand Elders disdainfully flew over. A big goblin. You're courting death. Pow! Green Feather King was ignored, but he calmly attacked the 3 Grand Elders. When the 3 Grand Elders activated their treasures and released a large amount of sword chi, a green claw appeared in the air and grabbed at the 3 Grand Elders. Their sword chi, divine abilities, and treasures were completely unable to block or suppress the green claw. In the blink of an eye, the 3 of them were crushed to pieces. From Green Feather King's body, there was a creaking sound. It seemed that this big goblin was about to start a massacre. Powerful. Bring more people. Killing 3 Grand Elders in an instant, this scene made the eyes of many experts fall out of their sockets. A powerhouse with the strength of a great elder and several others led a dozen experts to surround Green Feather King. In the deepest part of the underground palace, the 3rd Crown Prince was still floating calmly. The 2 Grand Elders led a few experts to protect him. The Heavenly King Protector's white eyebrows were like Mount Tai. Crown Prince, these people didn't come with good intentions. They all have methods and strength. Yes, they're not good people. If they weren't strong, how would they dare to have ideas about the human emperor world? Don't forget that we're the imperial family of a small world. From the beginning until now, the 3rd prince had been as calm and cold as an emperor. Protectors, let's see what's going on first and see how powerful these people are. If we can kill these experts, it won't be too late for us to act. If we act now, we'll be giving them too much face. Earth Saint Protector agreed. He smiled. Crown Prince is the emperor and will be the world master in the future. What you say is reasonable. If we let Crown Prince act against a few clowns, then where would our imperial family's face go? They might be strong, but we're not to be trifled with. Protectors, remember one thing. No matter what, you have to capture that brat who stole the human emperor's inheritance. Once we capture him, this Crown Prince will be able to fuse with the human emperor world in a short time. At that time, relocating and rebuilding the world will be much easier. Don't worry, Crown Prince. If there's even the slightest clue, we'll immediately act. The 2 Grand Protectors followed the 3rd Crown Prince's orders. They began to hide behind the 3rd Crown Prince, paying attention to every movement in front of them. Not good. It seems I've been poisoned. In the center, they had already formed a siege. Su Fong was attacking the aura of a dozen experts. After a while, a few of them began to shiver. Their auras became weaker and weaker. The legs and arms of some giants began to corrode, turning into blood. Poison immediately spread throughout their bodies. Su Fong felt his aura weaken. He looked around and saw that he had been surrounded. He had to kill his way out. Otherwise, Lihaojia, Ao, Jin the Big Goblin, and those puppets would gradually be devoured by the Xinyuan Empire. He secretly sent a thought to the blood wraith True Devil. Immortal insects aren't something that mortals can deal with. Gue, I'll open a few more cracks and release more immortal insects. He activated his world aura. This time, another terrifying Dao artifact's world aura fell from the sky like a boulder, attacking the defenses of the dozen experts. The attack broke through half of the defenses, but Su Fong was still unable to kill his way in. However, the blood wraith True Devil spat out some immortal insects that bit those experts. Save. One of the giants lost all support and fell to the ground, covered in blood and poison. He asked his companions for help, but no one had the time to save him. Following that, a few more people fell. Good chance. Su Fong increased his strength again, fusing even more Dao artifacts with his world aura. He formed a hand seal. You can't stop my Yin-Yang Rakshasa sword. Rumble, his eyes shot out two shaky, illusory, burning sword stars. After losing half of the giant support, he directly hit the defenses. A large portion of the defenses were instantly destroyed. However, it was still not completely destroyed. After all, he was facing many Grand Elders. But now, Su Fong could already pass through the defenses. He used his world aura again with the Blood Wraith True Devil and finally sent those experts flying. He then dodged past them. Supreme Killing Formation. Clearly, the surrounding Grand Elders had already expected this and had made preparations. Although a few of them had been killed by the immortal insects, the remaining experts were enough to stop Su Fong. Jia. The Blood Wraith True Devil suddenly spat out a large amount of black sand. This was the King Grey Dharma treasure that Su Fong had obtained from killing the minor Sky Devil Sect Sky Devil True Lord. He had given it to Gue to use back then. He hadn't expected Gue to really treat it like a toy. She activated this Dharma treasure, turning it into a large amount of evil black sand. She wanted to take a step forward and attack one of the experts in front of Su Fong. However, those experts' attention was all on Su Fong. Streaks of domineering auras flashed by as the experts surrounded Su Fong. Layers upon layers of formation power transformed into true Qi giants, each holding a long saber, instantly forcing Su Fong to the center. Su Fong looked at the true Qi giants. Supreme Killing Formation. This doesn't come from the Holy Emperor Divine Origin Scripture, but contains quite a bit of the Emperor's might. It seems that the experts of the Xinyuan Empire comprehended this formation from the Holy Emperor Divine Origin Scripture. Tut tut tut. About 20 true Qi giants, under the control of the 6 Grand Elders who had shown up in the surroundings, launched their blade auras towards Su Fong in a dense manner, leaving not a single gap between them. There's formation power all around us. Defend. They were trapped in the formation. This time, taking back the mortal Emperor world required many bloody battles to achieve their goal. Chapter 701. You want to kill me? Supreme World Control, Formless Fire Cloud Saber. The saber light slashed down. Impossible. The surrounding area was shackled by the formation, but the 6 giants were working together. Look, please move. The best defense was offense. Su Fong wasn't willing to use the Dao items Invincible Golden Body and the Flesh Fetus Divine Armor to take a beating. He immediately used the illusory Fire Cloud Saber on top of the world's Invincible Divine Armor. Boom! Boom! As the saber light fell, unexpectedly, a large amount of dazzling fire clouds exploded around the true Qi giant. Every explosion was destructive, blasting the true Qi giant into pieces. Large amounts of fragments also began to appear in the surrounding array formation. Boom! However, the saber light also hit Su Fong. Fortunately, he had already used the Dao item to fuse with the Flesh Fetus Divine Armor and the Formless Fire Cloud Saber's offensive power to destroy the saber light. Although this attack caused a thunder impact, Su Fong wasn't injured at all. What a powerful kid. 8th level Calamity Stage. He's really an 8th level Calamity Stage expert. He can actually fight against giants like us. Outside the Supreme Killing Formation, the 6 giants floating in the air were shaking their arms. The barrier of the Supreme Killing Formation they controlled in the center was also shattering. They were so shocked that they broke out in cold sweat. They had no choice but to condense more runes and control the formation's power to strengthen the Supreme Killing Formation. He almost broke the formation. This kid is powerful. It's just that he stole the 3rd prince's human emperor's inheritance. Without the world's invincible divine armor, he won't be able to do anything to us. He's underestimating the enemy too much. He's fighting so many of us with just this. Continue to condense attacks. Use the art of war killing formation. We can't give him any chance to breathe. After the 6 experts strengthened the formation, the shattered barrier disappeared. They formed the same seals again. Inside the formation, Su Fong was surrounded by blazing fire clouds. Looking at the collapsing true Qi giants, his lips curled up. His eyes were full of dominance. The supreme killing formation might be powerful, but do you think I can't break it? Before I fight the third prince and the left and right elders, I won't use any other techniques. Just my world energy and the illusory fire cloud should be enough to deal with you. Now that he was trapped in the shackles of the 6 experts formation, Su Fong was still very calm. If it were before, he would have been forced to directly use his Tao artifact or activate his divine might, as well as the strength of all the junior commanders. Right now, he was just bursting with his own strength. With his cultivation base at the 8th level of the catastrophe realm, he had reached the pinnacle. His current strength was estimated to be around the 8th level of the feather transformation realm. With such strength, using the power of the world and immortal grade great divine ability, his strength was already on par with the Grand Elders, and he had an absolute advantage. Buzz, buzz, buzz under the shackles of the supreme killing formation, Su Fong felt as if he had fallen into a gravitational space. His breathing and movements were restricted. At this time, more than 20 Zhun Qi giants formed. Su Fong counted them and found that there were 24 of them in total. Based on this deduction, there were 6 great experts outside. Wouldn't that mean that each of them was controlling 4 true energy giants and attacking together with a supreme killing formation? I need to get moving. Divine might of the world. At this time, Su Fong used his world energy and the divine image, Jade, Annulus ability to send his world energy into the formation. The formation trapped Su Fong. Everyone thought that formations were the best way to deal with powerful enemies. But they didn't know that the divine image, Jade, Annulus, had the ability to control formations. During this process, Su Fong was attacked once more. At the same time, he used his formless flame cloud saber to blow apart the true energy giants. He had only used up a little bit of his true energy. But to shake the formation twice, he had used up a great deal of their true energy. Formless flame cloud saber, blow up the formation for me. With the help of the Tao artifact, Su Fong used his world energy to enter the supreme killing formation. He then merged his illusory fire cloud saber into it and activated his formless flame cloud saber. The 6 giants were currently forming hand seals to control the formation. They were about to attack a 3rd time when a mysterious and sacred flame cloud appeared in the formation. Boom! The big shots felt that something was wrong. A wave of cold air seeped into their bodies, and in the blink of an eye, the supreme killing formation self-detonated. The explosive force attacked the 6 big shots, and they all exploded like salted fish on the spot. They flipped in midair and spat out waves of bloody mist. Hee, this is the power of a world overlord. Within the flames, Su Fong seemed to be about to be devoured. But as the flame cloud exploded, he saw that the 6 giants were still breathing and heavily injured. This was a good opportunity. His speed also reached its peak. With a flash, the 6 experts were sucked into the Tao artifact world. Now he had 6 more powerful slaves. As expected, they really are hard to deal with. However, in this underground palace, there were dozens of peerless experts whose cultivation and strength had reached the level of Great Elder. This time, it wasn't just a dozen, but 3. Just as Su Fong was about to advance, they suddenly blocked Su Fong's path and surrounded Su Fong in a triangular formation. At the very least, Su Fong had broken the encirclement and attracted the Grand Elders. The pressure on Li Haojia and the Green Feather King gradually disappeared. Su Fong waited for the 3 to attack. He snorted helplessly. Another 3 experts. Unfortunately, from the looks of it, they want to fight me head-on. I can only kill them. Chi! The 3 giants took out their treasures. 2 had king-grade swords, and 1 had a strange shield that was 1 meter long. It seemed to be made of some kind of scale armor. Kill! The 3 of them didn't waste any more time. Their swords slashed out, and their shields released a supreme, domineering aura. They directly smashed towards Su Fong. Flame Cloud, step with a thought. Su Fong displayed the absolute speed that surpassed the three of them. With a fire shadow explosion, Su Fong calmly dodged the attacks of the three people. This scene was definitely more powerful than when Heartless Granny had attacked him back then. Anyone of the three was definitely stronger than Heartless Granny. Back then, how could Su Fong fight Heartless Granny head-on? But now, at the very least, he could fight two Heartless Grannies head-on in the 8th level of the Catastrophe Realm. Moreover, he wanted to kill all three of them. Too weak. You can't even force out this king's true body. On the other side, at the periphery, a green demonic light exploded. It turned out to be Green Feather King. He shot out a green demonic light, followed by a claw imprint. Several experts were submerged in the attack, and corpses were floating around. Even so, there were still a few great elders blocking his path. Green Feather King sneered. He wasn't in a hurry to attack. He had attracted so many grand elders. With Su Fong in front, and behind him, he had attracted almost all the strongest cultivators in the Xinyuan Empire. As for the pressure Li Haojia was facing in the center, it wasn't worth mentioning. Corpses are delicious. It's also the best way to increase strength. What was a demon? It was Green Feather King. Although he was a green pung, he still ate people. The only difference compared to other big goblin was that he didn't eat living people. An aura swept over several corpses. He first swallowed one, then sucked the other corpses into his palm. Demon. Beast. The 4 grand elders in front forced their way over. Seeing Green Feather King eating people alive, they were all furious. Green Feather King sneered. This king is a demon, but he's not a beast. He can be a demon. What is a beast without consciousness? A beast without a bottom line is still a beast. This king is a demon, but he doesn't use living people as sacrifices. As for you, as this king's enemies, if this king eats corpses, he won't feel any pain. I don't feel the slightest bit of guilt. Kill the demon. Several experts took out their magical treasures and great abilities to greet Green Feather King. Green Feather King had suppressed the Xianjia Gate for so many years. Due to fate, he became a Dao artifact guardian, and his strength increased countless times. Even if he didn't use his true body, he could still kill the Grand Elders with the power of Green Pung. Dao artifact Divine Might. Master is amazing. In the center, the Grand Elders were using their magical treasures and all kinds of dazzling divine abilities to surround Li Haojia and Ao Zhen. They forced Li Haojia to constantly use the Yuan suppressing demon, transforming heavenly scriptures divine might. That divine might constantly increased his defensive and offensive power. Ao Zhen saw that he was still able to handle being surrounded by so many Grand Elders. She cheered for him from the side. At the same time, she used her ice divine ability to attack and defend, preventing the other expert from sneak attacking Li Haojia. Li Haojia still hadn't used his peerless young nascent soul. If he did, coupled with the power of the Dao artifact, perhaps even the great Emperor Dipper would die at his hands. When it came to monsters, he was definitely one of them. Clang. Deep within, in the air, the attacks of 3 magic treasures flashed by, oppressing him with great force. Su Fong was constantly dodging while being entangled by 3 experts. He also condensed Fire Cloud Sword Qi, occasionally using it to stab the 3 experts. After fighting for a while, Su Fong saw that the 3 had exhausted their true Qi. He felt that an opportunity was coming and secretly used his world power. Next, I will have to gradually use the human sovereign's inheritance power. Senior human sovereign has cultivated for countless years and planted an invisible controlling power from the human sovereign world in his inheritance. Once it's added to the body, all aspects will be enhanced. Su Fong was about to use even more powerful moves. Deep in front, the third prince's expression was completely different from before. He held back his killing intent and anger, but he was sweating profusely. Finally, he looked at the left and right elders. The experts are being killed by them one by one, but they are unharmed. If this continues, all the experts will be killed by them. By then, it will be too late for us to deal with them. It's not like we didn't gain anything while waiting. Every one of them is powerful. That big goblin is able to kill experts on the same level as us in its human form. It's indeed difficult to deal with. As for the young man in the middle, he released a Tao artifact and activated it to an astonishing level. Although he's weaker than the big goblin, he has a Tao artifact to protect him. It's not easy to kill him. Look at the last kid with the world power. He also has a Tao artifact in his body. His aura isn't strong, but his other moves are very shocking. Especially with the human sovereign's inheritance, his strength is almost comparable to the big goblin. The left and right elders analyzed coldly in front of the third prince. The third prince said, "How about this? 2 elders, let all the experts deal with the others. The 3 of us will work together to suppress that kid in the shortest time possible. As long as we suppress him, we can leave this place. The rest of the people are no threat to us. It doesn't matter if they live or die." This is indeed the fastest way to solve the problem. The left and right elders immediately nodded and called a few experts over. Immediately kill them. Give everyone an order to work together to deal with the big goblin and the others. It doesn't matter if you can't kill them. You must trap them. Yes. The several powerful elders immediately rushed over. Yin-Yang Rakshasa's sword. Su Fong, who was entangled, actually suffered some superficial injuries in this short period of time. Blood dyed his Tao robe red. The giants of the Xinyuan Empire were indeed powerful. Each of them was almost as powerful as Heartless Granny. Fortunately, the other party was also injured and had used up a lot of their true chi. The opportunity that Su Fong had been waiting for finally came. 2 sword star storms surged out of his eyes. The 3 experts still didn't understand what was going on. The space they were in was filled with sword star storms. Chi, chi, chi. The sword star storms penetrated their chests and heads. Chapter 702. It was just a matter of not showing any killing intent. Once the killing intent was shown, the 3 peerless experts with the strength of the Grand Elder were completely killed by the peerless Tao technique, Yin-Yang Rakshasa sword. Yin-Yang Rakshasa sword was formed by fusing many Tao techniques. For example, ethereal truth, world force, limitless Tao technique, and Yin-Yang dual cultivation. Among them, Yin-Yang dual cultivation was the main technique, world force was the supplementary technique, and a powerful Yang infant was also needed. Together with other Tao techniques, this Tao technique that could control nature was finally born. The 3 experts were covered in bloody holes with blood flowing out. In a breath's time, they died under Su Fong's sword. Whoosh! Before Su Fong could relax, he suddenly saw a large number of experts passing by him and rushing towards Li Haojia and the others. Gradually, there was no one around him. He glanced back and saw dozens of experts surrounding Green Feather King, Li Haojia, and the others. They were forming formations and activating treasures. With such a large-scale attack, a small part of the rock layer above was collapsing. "Master, you," suddenly reminded Su Fong. He focused and looked ahead. 3 peerless experts were closing in on him. Jijik, Blood Ghost, True Demon, stepped on the corpse of an expert and seemed to want to help Su Fong deal with the left and right elders and the third prince. However, Su Fong asked it to help Li Haojia and the others first, using poisonous insects to deal with the experts. Su Fong looked ahead and thought, "Third prince and the left and right elders want to deal with me alone. Let's see who can last until the end. I believe that Peng King and Li Haojia can kill all the experts and then work with me to deal with the 3 experts in front of me." A gust of wind swept over. The left and right elders increased their speed and used their aura to suddenly appear on Su Fong's left and right. The third prince came to the front and blocked Su Fong in the middle. "You are dead." The third prince stared at Su Fong angrily. "Last time, you were able to obtain the human sovereign's inheritance because of the 5 poisons sect. This time, there is no lord of 5 poisons. I will turn your bones into ashes and use your skin to make a sword sheath." "That's hard to say." Su Fong took out a heavy sword and guarded against the 3 experts. Double Dragon Golden Sword. The third crown prince did not dare to be careless with the appearance of the royal gray Dharma artifact. Moreover, He could see the quality of the edgeless sword and its destructive power. If he was careless, his head would fall to the ground. A golden royal grade flying sword flew out from each of the third prince's hands. Su Fong was immediately attracted by the flying sword because it was actually made of gold. Half of it was made of gold, while the rest was made of various rare ores. Double Dragon Golden Sword, how sacred, how mighty, what a peerless flying sword with the domineering aura of an emperor. The greed in his eyes grew. The Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda is a peerless artifact made from gold and silver. It's only second to a Dao artifact. As for this Double Dragon Golden Sword, its quality is not as good as the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, but it's still a rare artifact made from gold. If I can get it, I can fuse it with the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda and become a protective force for the space inside. The third prince grabbed the Double Dragon Golden Sword, and a silver armor appeared on his body. A Dragon Emperor crown covered his face, leaving only a pair of deep eyes. He nodded to the left and right elders. This person's abilities are shocking, and he has many tricks up his sleeve. Seeing that we're going to work together to deal with him, he's still so calm. Let's go and kill him. The Heavenly King Protector immediately grabbed at the air. The Crown Prince is right. Doghead Rotten Wooden Saber. The Holy Earth Protector also shouted, 6 eyes, heaven-shaking bell. The two protectors also forced out their artifacts. The Heavenly King Protector on the right held a strange artifact. The saber's hilt was made of black iron, and the saber's body was made of gray wood. The saber's hilt was embedded with a doghead gem. As for the Holy Earth Protector, he held up a huge gray bell. What was extraordinary was that there were 6 empty eyeballs on top of it. They seemed to be the eyes of the artifact's origin spirit. Seeing the magic treasures of the 3 of them, Su Fong also felt the oppressive aura of magic treasures. Each of these magic treasures is more extraordinary than the last. That dog-headed rotten with saber isn't bad. It's a strange divine weapon forged from wood-type materials and various ores. It's probably very strange. Wouldn't a wood-type magic treasure in my hands be even more astonishing? You are warned. Master, you have to be extremely careful this time. Each of these 3 artifacts should have their own strange abilities. Each of them is the top artifact of the small world and is similar to the Rakshasa Jade Vase. Although they can't be compared to Master's Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, their power is definitely shocking. The Xinyuan Empire's foundation is indeed shocking. As an empire that dominates a small world, its wealth is certain. However, there probably aren't many artifacts like these in the Xinyuan Empire. These are the best of the best. You don't have to do anything for now. I can use the edgeless sword to deal with them. Right now, I need to delay them and find their weak points before thinking of a way to break through. During this process, they will definitely attack. If I can't deal with them, the rest will be up to you. Yes, Su Fong and the Dao artifact were in an indescribable state. On the contrary, the degree of fusion with the King Great artifact, the edgeless sword, could not reach such a miraculous state. The Holy Earth Protector suddenly suppressed the 6-eyed, heaven-shaking bell's aura. Brat, what is your goal in following the 5 Poison Divine sect? Join my Xinyuan Empire. With the third prince here, you will definitely become a peerless figure in the future. You should understand this principle. My empire possesses unparalleled resources. That is something you can't even imagine. Moreover, my empire has a foundation that surpasses any great power in the outside world. Even the Doichi cannot be compared to us. Furthermore, we can let immortals descend as they wish. Let me tell you clearly, my empire is a power protected by immortals. The Heavenly King Protector on the right also used a persuasive tone to speak to Su Fong. You are gravely mistaken. At this moment, Su Fong poured cold water on the 2 big shots. I am not a member of the 5 Poison Divine sect. I just have a good relationship with the current sect leader, who said that it was my own idea to rely on the 5 Poison Divine sect to seize the human emperor world. Don't waste your breath. At this point, there is no turning back. The Heavenly King Protector was slightly angered. You really don't want to consider becoming a cultivator of my empire? In the future, when you ascend to the outside world, you can directly receive the protection of the upper world. Other ascenders will more or less die in the outside world. A genius like you will naturally become an immortal. You can't just see everything in the small world in front of you. Haha, who do you think I, Su Fong, am? To tell you the truth, the person who killed the great Emperor Dipper last time was me. Su Fong suddenly laughed sinisterly. Why would you still want me to serve the Xinyuan Empire now? The third prince flew into a rage. He finally opened his mouth. It was you who destroyed my royal uncle's Dao body. Not only him, but the left and right elders were also extremely shocked. They only knew that Su Fong was the person who cooperated with the Lord of Five Poisons last time to snatch the human emperor's inheritance. How could they associate him with the person who killed the great Emperor Dipper's physical body in the distant Zhuotian realm? The great Emperor Dipper, that was a prince of the Xinyuan Empire. The person who could kill him and still be friends with the Empire. The two protectors' faces were burning. They felt as if they had been slapped by Su Fong a few times. The Dharma treasures in their hands had already intertwined to form a shocking and strange Xianguan. As expected, those who come do not come with good intentions. It seems like my empire's plan to seize the Xinjia gate this time has failed. The double dragon golden sword in the third prince's hand started to burn. It was as if the golden divine dragon was awakening. Elders, this person must be killed. Kill. The heavenly king protector suddenly teleported and disappeared from his original spot. Clang. Su Fong turned around. The edgeless sword in his hand did not even think as it slashed through the air. As a result, it clashed with the dog-headed rotten wooden saber halfway through the air. He did not expect that the heavenly king protector's killing intent and speed could be instantly captured by Su Fong. If it was in the past, even if Su Fong could detect such a heaven-defying attack, he would still be severely injured. He could dodge, but he would definitely not be able to dodge the heavenly king protector's attack. Just like when he faced Heartless Grandma back then. He could match her speed, but when facing Heartless Grandma's attack head-on, he could only end up being beaten up. Today, Su Fong had finally become a true expert of the small world. People like the Great Elder and the old antiques could not easily touch a single strand of his hair. Poo-poo. The two Dharma treasures released a shocking aura. It was obvious that the Heavenly King Protector's aura was stronger than Su Fong's. The aura caused Su Fong's body to tremble continuously. Sacred Sovereign's fist. He only felt an afterimage disappear in front of him. Suddenly, a huge fist arc came from behind Su Fong. It was formed by countless true patterns, divine power, and aura. Sacred Sovereign's fist. Naturally, Su Fong was not unfamiliar with it. It was a powerful divine ability of the sacred Emperor, divine origin scripture. When it was used by the Heavenly King Protector, it was as if the world was angry. The fist arc contained too many true patterns and divine power, especially inside. It felt like countless Heavenly King Protectors were using the Sacred Sovereign's fist. For a moment, Su Fong felt that he was in the world of the fist art. Sacred Sovereign Body. The divine power of the fist art had already devoured Su Fong. However, another afterimage came from the other side. Su Fong had already used the power of the world to dodge the Sacred Sovereign's fist. When the afterimage attacked from behind, giants with Emperor's Qi pounced over. These giants looked very real, but they were actually one of the great divine abilities of the sacred Emperor divine origin scripture, the Sacred Sovereign Body. When this divine ability was used, it was not just physical strength. It was also an offensive divine ability. When combined with divine power, it could condense so many giants. Su Fong's expression was grave. The left and right elders have cultivated the sacred Emperor divine origin scripture to a certain level and combined it with their own Daos. It is not just ordinary divine abilities and moves, but a kind of divine power. It formed a divine power world that is absolutely under their control. This is the manifestation of the peak of cultivation. Do you think you're the only ones who know how to use the sacred Emperor divine origin scripture? The two sovereigns' divine power had formed the strongest divine image, and they controlled the world. Su Fong was trapped. Normally speaking, he would die under such an attack. However, a large amount of Emperor's chi suddenly appeared around him. As he dodged, he released the same amount of true chi as the two sovereigns. This is impossible. You are an outsider. How can you know the sacred Emperor Divine origin scripture? His aura suddenly appeared, and the heavenly king protectors and earth holy protectors let out sighs of surprise. Su Fangdao laughed. Ha! This is the cultivation technique I found in the great Emperor Dipper's golden core. I've long since prepared it to deal with experts like you. You really are a monster, but you will also die at our hands. Boom! The shackling power controlled by the two divine auras finally surrounded Su Fang like a divine image. Then the divine auras exploded from the outside and from the inside out. The Emperor's protectors truly live up to their reputation. Illusion and reality transformation. Su Fang could see and sense that the space around him was collapsing. It was like the end of the world had arrived. If Su Fang didn't have any special methods, his yang soul would definitely be shattered and his physical body would be destroyed. He would become a corpse. Chapter 703. Rumble. The left and right protectors' destructive energy began to devour Su Fang's body. Under such an attack, let alone Su Fang, even the Lord of Five Poisons and Green Feather King could only resist or defend. But Su Fang had a third option: dodge. Chi Su Fang's body was instantly destroyed by the two destructive energies. But strangely, there was no blood on his wounds. Only his body was constantly being attacked. This kid is finished. How can he still be so arrogant with the sacred Emperor Divine origin scripture? Outside, seeing the terrifying explosion, the dual dragon golden sword in the third crown prince's hand calmed down. Clearly, he didn't need to do anything. Su Fang was already dead. The third crown prince sighed. I got it from Uncle Wang's golden core. This kid's cultivation time is even shorter than mine. I can see this from his cultivation. How can he extract the cultivation technique of a golden core from a golden core? I've never heard of such a divine ability. If I don't kill him, my imperial clan's cultivation technique will be in danger of being destroyed. A crown prince who was groomed to be a world overlord, a proud son of the heavens, could feel a formless threat emanating from the explosion. Not good. He hasn't been killed. Suddenly, with two whooshing sounds, the left and right old demons flew out of the explosion, puzzled. This massive explosion caused a large area of the rock layer above to collapse, and a massive geocentric space that was close to 10,000 feet in size appeared. The third crown prince immediately came to their side. How is this possible? I didn't see anyone fly out. The heavenly king protector said, when we used the divine image's divine might and attacked, he was indeed covered in energy. But that was only a clone. It can't even be called a clone. It's probably just an ordinary puppet refined from, or some other material. Why does it seem like Deutsch's limitless Tao art? It does seem like it. Now isn't the time to discuss this. Since he hasn't come out, he must still be inside. We have to control this place. I don't believe he can avoid a second attack. The Holy Earth Protector promptly said. With a flash, the three of them controlled the explosion. And inside, amidst the shattering and exploding power, an afterimage was constantly condensing. It was Su Fang. He looked around and did not see the two experts. After sensing his surroundings again, he spat out a mouthful of blood. The combination of illusion and reality with the power of the world is extremely mysterious. It's just that my cultivation level is not high enough. If I were to reach the feather transformation realm, the two guardians would not be able to hurt me. After pondering for a moment, his eyes glowed. I can't take another beating. I have to use the human sovereign's inheritance and take the initiative. Senior human sovereign, you have cultivated in the human sovereign world for countless years. This junior is not talented enough. This time, I will have to rely on senior's strength to take back the human sovereign world. He spat out another few mouthfuls of blood. The left and right elders were peerless experts who stood at the pinnacle of the Xinyuan Empire. Their strength was comparable to that of Prince C. One of them was hard enough to deal with, let alone two of them. They had yet to use their magic treasures. Under such circumstances, if Su Fong were to fall into a passive position again, there would only be one outcome: failure. Buzz. The power of the human sovereign's inheritance that had been sealed deep within his body was finally released. At this moment, Su Fong felt that someone was watching him from within his body. The legacy of a human sovereign, the power that he inherited, was vast and had truly reached the level of the Tao and the world. His physical body was empty and cold. Su Fong suddenly breathed. The surrounding attack power suddenly turned into layers and rolls of strange attack forms. The attack space that was originally chaotic, tearing, and destructive was actually seen clearly by Su Fong under the fusion of the human sovereign's inheritance. The big explosion was actually a large-scale change formed by the convergence of countless attack forms. Among them, there were fist techniques, young nascent souls, and formations. Most of them were true patterns and imprints. In this state, Su Fong immediately communicated with the divine image Jade Wall. This scene is too amazing. Yes, this is also the first time has seen the power of a realm lord. What is a realm lord? In your world, no matter, power, or aura can escape your eyes. Right now, Master can only see a part of the space. When you become a true realm lord, you will see even more space. A realm lord is too powerful. If you reach such a level, won't you be able to see every corner of the small world clearly? It depends on how many years the realm lord has cultivated and how much he has fused with the small world. Without millions of years of fusion, the realm lord will not be able to carefully sense every corner of the world. If the realm lord can really control every corner, then the Xinyuan Empire will definitely be 100 times stronger than it is now. Master, take this opportunity to recover from your injuries. You're seriously injured this time. Yer was concerned about Su Fong's injuries. After all, he had fused with Su Fong. As a Tao artifact, he understood Su Fong's physical body the best. After swallowing the immortal's blood essence, he was constantly fusing with the power of the world and the power of the inheritance. Gradually, in the explosion space, as long as it was the natural aura of the human sovereign world, it would gradually fuse with him. What did this mean? No matter how powerful the left and right elders' attacks were, they were not completely using their own true chi to create this explosion space. They were using their own true chi and divine abilities, using the natural power of the human sovereign world to create this explosion. Therefore, the power of the human sovereign world was everywhere in the explosion space. And Su Fong had the human sovereign's inheritance. It could even be said that as long as there was the natural power of the human sovereign world here, he could control and fuse with it. What kind of scene or state was this? From Su Fong's senses, he could see that any attack had a form. There were thousands of forms, and among these forms, most of them contained the aura of the human sovereign world, which was the natural power of the human sovereign world. Su Fong activated the human sovereign world's inheritance. These forms, formed by the natural power of the human sovereign world, were gradually fused and controlled by him. He could feel his sovereign power, with him as the center. It was like a network, gradually seeping out from the center to the outside of the explosion space. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was threading a needle. And in this state, to be able to see it so clearly was something only a sovereign could do. Even a third prince, who had devoured so much essence, could not do to this extent. That kid is releasing the power of the human sovereign world, outside the explosion space, under the control of 3 peerless experts. The left and right elders and the third prince forgot about the fighting around them. They focused all of their attention on Su Fong. The third prince sensed that Su Fong controlled a shocking amount of the world's origin energy. He looked at the left and right elders. He's injured. This attack must kill him. Crown Prince, you don't need to do anything. The two of us can't even kill such a young man. In the future, we won't have the qualifications to protect the Emperor. The Heavenly King Protector and Earth Holy Protector Lei were furious. They were practically glaring at each other. Joining hands to deal with a junior was already a kind of humiliation, and yet they were still unable to kill him. This was not just a humiliation. It was an insult. Use magic treasures. The third prince glanced coldly at them. The heavenly king protector was startled. He immediately felt embarrassed. Using magic treasures is too flattering. He's not immortal. The other protector probably had the same feeling as the heavenly king protector. That's right. Don't worry, Crown Prince. Let's handle him. He's just a junior. No matter how extraordinary he is, he won't be able to be cocky for long. The third prince glanced at them again, feeling unhappy. These old fellows are too stubborn. Isn't it better to use magic treasures? To kill them? They're only here to protect me. I can't force them to do anything. Instead, I'll make them happy. In the future, not only will they help me become the world master, but they might even become the ruler of 2 worlds. That's my goal. I'll endure it for now. Once I succeed, anyone who goes against me will have their heads cut off. Use the heavenly king incineration. The third prince retreated a bit. The Earth Holy Protector was suppressing Su Fang's explosion space. It was terrifying. The explosion had lasted for so long, but it was still under the control of the 2 giants. The Heavenly King Incineration is one of the strongest divine abilities of the Holy Emperor Divine Yuan Scripture. Using it consumes a large amount of true Qi and Yang souls. The Emperor sent us to protect the third prince and obtain the human sovereign world. If we fail, we won't have any hope of ascending. We'll have to see what the Emperor wants. Only then can we use our true strength to send this brat on his way. 2 saints of heaven and earth, endless incineration. The Heavenly King Protector's waste strength, boundless true Qi and Yang Soul's aura merged into his palm technique. Then, with a bang, he pressed against the explosion barrier. The Earth Holy Protector was the same. Oh, could it be one of the strongest divine abilities of the Holy Emperor Divine Yuan Scripture? The Heavenly King Incineration is a divine image in Yang Soul's aura that can transform the space into a divine image world. This is a Tao technique that surpasses divine abilities. It was called a Tao technique in ancient times. I have to dodge this attack before they use it. Illusion and reality evolution. Within the formation, Su Fang felt a fatal threat. His entire body was like a silkworm. His true Qi, and breathing had all turned into threads. These threads are the same as the ones Su Fang saw around him. Moreover, their rhythm was the same. Just like that, Su Fang's body was in a strange state of being completely transformed into threads. This was a divine ability, a Tao technique. No one could explain it. Only a human emperor who was a realm lord and had cultivated the ethereal true scripture would be able to say what kind of ability this was. 2. At this moment, an indescribable destructive power exploded from above, below, left, and right. The surroundings were filled with the aura of sovereigns. With a suppressive state and destructive power, they did not leave any space behind. They pushed forward layer by layer and shattered layer by layer into dust. Under Su Fang's strange senses, the attack from the 2 giants was actually a boundary formed by countless overlapping shadows of the 2 giants. This boundary of nothingness was compressed, and any matter or force that came into contact with it would be reduced to dust. Those different forms of matter and energy were all turned into dust under this compressed power. The strange thing was that Su Fang was like a golden silkworm shedding its shell. He turned into countless illusory threads and completely disappeared, leaving behind a lifeless body. Disappeared? No. At this moment, Su Fang's body was in a state of fusion with the explosive space and the natural aura of the human emperor world. Under the control of the human emperor's inheritance, he controlled all the natural energy of the human emperor world and turned it into many passageways. In reality, these passageways were at most the size of a finger. Some were even smaller. However, Su Fang shuttled through these passageways quickly. He quietly left the explosive space when the explosion occurred. This was happening right under the noses of 3 peerless experts. The explosive space controlled by the 2 elders was not the same as before. Instead, it was a large-scale destruction that could topple mountains and overturn seas, layer by layer. At the same time, the explosive space became quieter and quieter. The turbulence was constantly disappearing. The third prince saw all of this from afar. The double dragon golden sword was already cold and silent. It was as if it had just been watered. Fortunately, those two old fellows did their best to kill this brat called Su Fong. Next, I just have to find his corpse in this space and seize the human emperor's inheritance. Chapter 704. At the same time, the exploding space controlled by the two elders finally calmed down. After the two giants formed a seal, all the barriers disappeared. Inside, a large amount of fine powder was scattered and suddenly spurted out. Some attack power and world aura were still very strong. When the third prince flashed over, he saw that the two elders seemed to be nailed in the air, motionless. It turned out that there was nothing but fine powder below. Could it be that the corpses are gone? The third prince looked at the two elders. The Heavenly King Protector was angry. No, if they really died here, they would definitely leave behind a Tao artifact. Doesn't that kid have a Tao artifact? Be careful. We don't let that kid escape again. You just found out. Phaseless fire cloud saber. Suddenly, void particles spread out between the three of them. These granules suddenly turned scarlet red, and Su Fong's mocking voice rang out. Instantly, the area covered by the scarlet granules exploded into a cloud of fire. At the same time, Su Fong appeared 100 meters away with the edgeless sword in his hand. He immediately dodged the collapse of the boulders caused by the explosion. A big hole appeared above, and only a part of the Earth's core fell. Most of it was swallowed by the explosion and turned into dust. Su Fong took the opportunity to look into the distance. Green Feather King was still in his human form, using the Heaven Monarch Soul Sword. He was surrounded by many experts, and the sword light of the Tao artifacts intertwined in that area. Large amounts of boulders fell from time to time, almost separating him from the Earth's core. The other Tao artifact was not as strong as the Heaven Monarch Soul Sword. That was Li Haojie using the Elemental Suppression Demon Transformation Heavenly Book, which attracted many experts. He wanted to communicate with the Lord of Five Poisons and Li Ziqing, but Dog Head Rotten would saber. Su Fong suddenly frowned in the midst of the explosion. He saw a strange gray light, like a terrifying Tao item like the Wrath of the Demon God, strike towards him with a sharp attack. Clang! The edgeless sword flew in the air and collided with the light. It turned out to be a gray wooden blade, and Su Fong's arms were numb from the impact. Dog head slash. He didn't expect the end of the gray wooden blade to come back. A black dog head, more than 10 feet long, like a lifelike dog demon, was about to bite Su Fong's head off. Ape dog. The first thought that came to Su Fong's mind was the giant ancient demon he had encountered on the flying immortal island. But this is not a giant demon. Whoosh, the dog head bit down. Su Fong used the power of the world to jump through the air, brushing against the magic treasure's aura. Gritting his teeth, he said, "This dog head rotten wooden saber is really not simple." Sacred Sovereign Fist. The Holy Earth Protector flew over with the speed of teleportation. The third prince was behind him, seemingly waiting for an opportunity to attack. The fist technique formed by the Golden Imperial Qi completely shattered the aura of the Ren Huang realm at this moment, becoming the only power in front of Su Fong. Su Fong coldly shook his sword. The heavy sword has no edge. The ground shook as the fist arts divine might strike, caused the edgeless sword to vibrate continuously. Only when Su Fong saw the Holy Earth Protector did he realize how powerful this person was. So it's an origin source magic treasure. No wonder its divine power is so strong. This six-eyed heaven-shaking bell of mine is also a supreme origin source magic treasure. The fist of a Saint Emperor was actually unable to suppress Su Fong. The Holy Earth Protector didn't believe it. The mysterious bell from before was like a boulder that directly smashed toward Su Fong. Clang! Buzz! The edgeless sword struck the six-eyed heaven-shaking bell head-on. Unexpectedly, the two magic treasures were of similar quality. Neither was able to suppress the other. The Holy Earth Protector sinisterly sneered. He formed a special seal with both hands that struck the six-eyed heaven-shaking bell. Soul-devouring soul. Suddenly, Su Fong thought that some kind of magic treasure would explode and display a powerful defense. But he found that the bell was looking at him with deathly pale eyes. With a single glance, he shivered. It was as if the bell had come to life. Its large eyes were staring at him. It was indescribable. At this moment, it was as if 6 supreme experts had appeared around the bell. Their gazes weren't demonic chi or devilish chi, but they were extremely sinister. Without waiting for him to regain his senses, the 6 large eyes on the bell simultaneously shot out a beam of invisible, leaping young nascent soul light that was about to drill into his brain. A young nascent attack. The 6-eyed heaven-shaking bell wasn't a suppressive or offensive magic treasure, but Yuan's soul-type magic treasure. Fortunately, my young nascent is powerful, and I also have the true devil blood plate. Otherwise, I really would have been hit. Whoosh! Su Fong's eyes were filled with burning Yuan spirit energy. Just as the power of the 6 bells was about to enter his brain, a blood-colored magic treasure's divine aura suddenly counterattacked, striking the 6 young nascent attacks. Buzz! The 2 young nascent souls instantly shattered into a large amount of Yuan's spirit fire sparks. Su Fong hastily retreated, while the Earth Holy Law Protector, who controlled the 6-eyed heaven-shaking bell, was shocked. He took the opportunity to cause the bell to explode with 100 feet of pressure, causing Su Fong to retreat. Really hard to deal with. The Heavenly King Protector and the 3rd Crown Prince arrived. As for Su Fong, he was currently using his world's divine aura to break free from the bell suppression. I didn't think that the 2 of us would be forced to work together by a nameless junior. Let's not worry about that right now. Suppressing him is the only thing we need to do. The 2 protectors didn't wait for the 3rd Crown Prince. Just as Su Fong was about to break free, one of them suddenly swooped down like an eagle. One of them raised the dog-headed rotten wooden saber, while the other raised the 6-eyed heaven-shaking bell. Go! The 2 magic treasures attacked at the same time. The 6-eyed heaven-shaking bell left their hands and became 10 times larger. It directly pressed down on Su Fong. The dog-headed rotten wooden saber suddenly transformed into the black dog head from before. It didn't feel like this was a simple attack. It was terrifyingly fast, and it also wanted to kill Su Fong. Fire Cloud Wings. Innate divine aura. Seeing this, he felt an indescribable pressure seeping into his body. The 2 magic treasures attacked at the same time, and he immediately raised his strength to the peak. After dodging, he thought he could relax. But what awaited him was the 2 protectors using their sovereign aura. One was using a fist technique, while the other was using a palm technique. Bang! He punched out with both hands. How could he be a match for the 2 of them? Fortunately, he had his innate divine aura. Otherwise, he could only vomit blood and be thrown away in a sorry state. Double Dragon Golden Sword. The 3rd Crown Prince finally made his move. He took large strides and ran through the air. Although he jumped up from above Su Fong, the 2 swords immediately slashed down on Su Fong's neck. 3rd Crown Prince, you finally made your move. But do you think I will be killed by you like this? Limitless Tao Art. A large number of afterimages appeared above Su Fong. They were limitless clones. Boom! The golden swords split the layers of limitless clones into pieces, but there was no blood spurting out from any of the clones. The 3rd Crown Prince fell into a large number of fragments. Looking at the clones of Su Fong, he was extremely shocked. Limitless Tao Art. You have indeed mastered Doichi's limitless Tao Art. It was unknown where Su Fong's voice came from. I killed a big shot of the Tao 1 sect, Hard Image Birth, and seized his body. I obtained the limitless Tao Art from his golden core. If I use this Tao Art on myself, will its power be completely different? Boom! Boom! A dog head fiercely bit the clones of Limitless. The 6-eyed heaven-shaking bell also formed a triangle from the other side, crushing the clones of Limitless. It seemed that Su Fong had nowhere to run. I will let you see how terrifying the limitless Tao Art is in my hands. Kill. They still did not know where Su Fong was. But the remaining clones all grabbed the illusory fire cloud and attacked the magic treasure, the two protectors, and the third crown prince. Limitless clones can actually use divine abilities. The three of them were indeed shocked, but they were not unable to deal with it. They immediately activated their magic treasures and used their divine abilities to shatter the clones of Limitless. Bang! As for Su Fong, he had already used the Limitless Dao art as cover and attacked from the side. Limitless clones indeed have countless uses. I will use the method you are most familiar with to deal with you. World Energy Enhancement, Illusion and Reality Transformation. When he appeared, Su Fong did not take the opportunity to consume spiritual items to recover from his injuries. Instead, he began to take the initiative and use his true divine ability. Whoosh! Several doppelgangers appeared, each of them wielding fire cloud sword chi. Each of them carried a deep and cold aura. They were behind the three experts and immediately released the fire cloud sword chi. Under Su Fong's hand seals, the fire cloud sword chi immediately turned into a sword formation that merged with the world energy and surrounded the three experts. First, he wanted to show off his strength to the enemy. The true chi in his body exploded, and the yang energy in his 8 yang meridians were about to be released. He absorbed some 9 yin chi from the ancient mirror, and his body entered the most wonderful state of yin and yang. Then, his body emitted a faint divine aura of a Tao artifact. If the three of them work together, they should be as strong as Master Heiyun. I have to surpass them and defeat them. Only then will I be qualified to become the master of the human emperor world. Without Master Heiyun's strength, how can I control a world? You released a lot of immortal aura true patterns in his divine aperture. Master used the human emperor's inheritance's power to support you. The fusion with you has reached a new level. You has absolute confidence in helping Master kill the three of them. I can't let this drag on any longer. I have to kill the three of them with every attack. Otherwise, not only will the Xinyuan Empire's reinforcements threaten us, but we will also suffer heavy losses. You activate all your power. Yes, the power of the divine image Jade Annulus began to pour into his body. Su Fong also activated the 9 yang, 9 transformations. Then, for some reason, the fire-type true chi in his body that came from the illusory fire cloud started to burn on its own. The illusory fire cloud is a cultivation technique that came from the mysterious woman. Could it be compatible with the 9 yang, 9 transformations? That's why I was able to cultivate it so smoothly. Forget it. The three experts are already activating their magic treasures. Suddenly, he looked forward and saw Wuji's clones using their sword formation to attack. However, they were all shattered by the power of the three figures. The surrounding clones were instantly shattered by the divine aura of the three figures. At this moment, Su Fong was not only activating his natal magic treasure, he was also activating the 9 yang 9 transformations. Of course, he was also activating the Tao artifact. This was the first time Su Fong had raised his strength to such a level. Whoosh, whoosh. After the left and right elders and the third prince destroyed all of Wuji's clones, they were in a sorry state. They seemed to have used up a lot of their true chi, especially the left and right elders. The third prince was probably using the power of the human emperor world to maintain his true chi. He's too hard to deal with. This kid's cultivation base is only at the 8th level of the calamity stage, but his true chi is even stronger than ours. He's not tired at all. He activated the Tao artifact. The Tao artifact is just right for us to use our full power to kill him. I don't believe he can activate the Tao artifact to such a high level. Chapter 705. The power of a Tao item was indeed extraordinary. The left and right elders and the third prince could clearly sense the power of a Tao item from Su Fong's aura. Even if he was an 8th layer calamity stage cultivator, if he could use a Tao item, its power would still be terrifying. Heavenly Sovereign's godly image, godly weapon descends from the heavens. The three experts were one step faster. attacking Su Fong. Earth Holy Dharma Protector's true chi crackled like thunder as he performed countless magical seals with both hands. Immediately, in front of Su Fong, a 300-meter-wide giant appeared, each holding a six-eyed, heaven-shaking bell. There were over 100 monarch giants, stacked on top of each other, forming a total of 6 layers. The top stepped on the shoulders of the monarch giants below, forming a giant wall. Su Fong faced the giant wall in front of him and felt Earth Holy Protector's tyrannical power on a deeper level. What a powerful ability! Earth Holy Protector has merged the Heavenly Sovereign's fist with his godly image. This is already the same as the Yin-Yang Rakshasa's sword, a supreme Tao technique, no longer a technique. The monarch giants holding 6-eyed heaven-shaking bells began to pounce on Su Fong. Earth Holy Protector's hands were still forming seals. How come my monarch might be provoked by you? Go all out. I want to see how big the gap is between me and old antiques like you. Chi. Su Fong leaped into the air as if he was sprinting. His edgeless sword emitted a Tao, item, and life divine aura. Under the monarch giant's ability, a human-shaped spark streaked across. Looking at it, Su Fong was too small, like an egg smashing against a rock. Bang! Thunderbolt. However, he did not hesitate. The edgeless sword in his hand was supported by a Tao, item, and life divine aura. He slashed in the air, hitting a large number of monarch giants. Thunderbolt shook, and the edgeless sword in his hand was blocked. Under the impact of the godly force, the monarch giant could only watch as the edgeless sword slashed out a 3-meter-long sword scar. I didn't expect this kid's strength to increase so much. The Heavenly King Protector and the Third Prince seized the opportunity and prepared to find an opening when the Earth Saint Protector and Su Fong fought. They also believed that the Earth Saint Protector could suppress Su Fong. However, when they saw this scene, their strength was not inferior to the Earth Holy Protector at all. The two of them sucked in a cold breath of air. On the contrary, Su Fong, who was on the attacking side, was also very surprised when he saw the sword marks. He actually didn't manage to completely shatter the giant emperor's wall. Wrath of the Heavenly King. At this moment, countless giants pushed the 6-eyed heaven-shaking bells in their hands, and more than 100 bells shot out with a whoosh. It's this strange attack that can kill Yang souls again. Don't tell me I don't have a Yuan soul-type magic treasure. Extinguish. He opened his mouth and spat out a blood-red Dharma treasure Xingguang. The righteous path's blood-red Dharma treasure light collided with a large number of large bells. Any of the large bells shattered under the blood-red Dharma treasure light. The Holy Earth Protector was shocked. That is the true devil blood plate, the true devil blood plate of the devil race. Oomph. He can also use the true devil blood plate of the devil race's magic treasure like this. I will not give you a chance to live. Heavenly King roar. As he flipped his hand and pressed out a large number of seals, the giants on the wall that had just been attacked by the 6-eyed heaven-shaking bells clasped their hands together and struck out. Rays of dazzling golden holy light shot out from their palms. Fortunately, I am cultivating the sacred Emperor Divine Origin Scripture. This kind of attack and divine might is not unfamiliar at all. This is the Earth Holy Protector's strongest attack. I will also use my strongest power to shatter it. Yin-Yang Rakshasa's sword. The true devil blood plate was shattering all the 6-eyed heaven-shaking bells. Seeing the hundreds of holy lights shooting out, Su Fong felt that he was too small. He was facing the wrath of the giants. Swish, 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 swish. The Sword Star Storm seemed to be at a disadvantage and was about to be wiped out by the 100 holy lights. However, the storm was abnormally tough. The strangling force shattered the holy lights. Any holy light that came into contact with the Sword Star Storm would be instantly strangled. Swish, swish. After a while, the Holy Earth Protector's face turned pale and green. What an abundant amount of true chi. I've already exhausted a lot of it, but he can still use that kind of attack. He then looked at the Heavenly King Protector. Old brother, we really have to work together this time. You and I have not worked together to deal with a strong enemy for thousands of years, right? Crown Prince, you will be the emperor in the future. There is no need for you to do anything. This time, we will use our dual cultivation divine ability to kill him. After the heavenly king protector heard this, he bowed to the third crown prince and went to the holy earth protector's side. The two great protectors are going to work together. Qin Yuan Ho once said that any one of them has a heaven-defying strength. Once they work together, their strength will be close to the level of the Lord of Five Poisons. Isn't that about the same as Master Heiyun? Today, I, Su Fong, can finally stand on my own and fight with the true experts of the small world. The other party's movements naturally could not escape Su Fong's great perfection ability. With anticipation, Su Fong began to absorb more power from the divine image Jade Annulus. Hao Yin Technique, Earth Essence Power. The wall of giants was still standing between the two sides. The heavenly king protector's palms and true chi hit the wall formed by the giants. The holy earth protector did the same. The two great protectors' breathing, aura, and true chi were exactly the same. These two are actually dual cultivating. They absorb each other's true chi, magical power, and nascent divinity, and then combine them to unleash the same divine ability. Su Fong had always been curious about how powerful the giants, who could protect Emperor Xinyuan, would be after dual cultivating. What method would they use? It was the same as when he absorbed the mysterious woman's 9-yin energy. After sensing it, he found that it was not an ordinary dual cultivation. The two of them cultivated the same chi art, the same divine ability, and even the same yang soul. In this way, the two of them were the same in every aspect. After reaching this height, they would absorb each other's true chi, yang soul, and true chi. The two of them would enter a state of fusion, which was equivalent to the two of them fusing their power together. Great heavenly soldier formation. After the left and right protectors combined, they unleashed the same true chi. In front of the divine ability formed by the giant emperors, those giants grabbed the dog-headed rotten wooden saber and the six-eyed heaven-shaking bell. At the same time, these magical treasures and divine abilities suppressed Su Fong. At this moment, Yu-Er hastily reminded him from within his divine aperture, "My lord, the opponent's power and power have both doubled. It's best to dodge. Essence blessing, boundless legacy." It was true that he couldn't casually clash with such divine abilities. Su Fong decisively used his speed advantage to control the essence of the mortal emperor world to leap through the air, dodging the attacks of the dog-headed rotten wooden saber and the six-eyed heaven-shaking bell. At this moment, he was being chased by countless magical treasures. If it weren't for his speed, he would definitely have died under the attacks of so many magical treasures and divine abilities. Oof. The only thing he can do now is run. I hope he can fight us head-on and kill us on the spot. The left and right protectors were currently covered in the imperial seal, and the domineering aura of an imperial emperor swirled around them. They sneered, confident that Su Fong would be killed soon. For the time it takes half an incense stick to burn, Su Fong was being chased. Dodging like this isn't the way to go. We can't just wait until their true energy is weak before we make our move. Su Fong chased after them, occasionally brushing shoulders with the energy of the two magical treasures. Surrounded by danger, he thought to himself, "Give me more power. I want to attack that giant wall behind me." Yu-Er said, "My lord, I'm afraid Edgeless Sword won't be able to break it. I'll first confuse them, then secretly use the Titan God Palm. With a godly class energy art, I'll catch them off guard. In the end, I'll definitely surpass them." Su Fong's mind wasn't a mess. In fact, it was very clear. He calmly knew what he had to do, and he wanted to fight these two experts head-on and defeat them. Whoosh! Su Fong suddenly circled around and attacked with Edgeless Sword. His speed increased, and he passed by the dog-headed rotten wooden saber and the six-eyed heaven-shaking bell. Su Fong suddenly slashed out again and again, and one sword energy after another slammed into the giant wall. It seems this kid is out of options. Then let's show him how powerful we are. Pleased with themselves, the two old men changed their hand seals. Bzzzzzzzzzzz. The six-eyed heaven-shaking bells that were chasing after Su Fong strangely appeared around Su Fong like a human pyramid and surrounded him when he least expected it. The dog-headed rotten wooden saber also appeared. Bzzzzzzzzzzz. The six-eyed heaven-shaking bells began to ring out, and their nascent divinity shackles merged together to crush Su Fong. Heaven Devil Disintegration Seal. Boundless Slaughter. Young nascent Soul Su Fong wasn't someone to be trifled with. Seeing the nascent divinity energy of the magical treasures, Su Fong's eyes erupted with the terrifying power of the netherworld energy. The two nascent divinities slammed into each other, and the result was that the darkness-type nascent divinity that contained the energy of the netherworld froze the abyssal divinity. Swish! Swish! Hundreds of blades attacked, but strangely enough, just as Su Fong was about to attack, those blades intertwined and stopped around him, forming a large intertwined blade. Finally, they turned into a large dog head. Swish! Su Fong immediately attacked, but just as he activated his true chi and divine ability, Edgeless Sword, he was swallowed by the large dog head, and his divine ability was shackled. Yuer said from within his divine aperture, "Master, it seems that the dog-headed rotten wooden saber isn't simple. It can swallow a cultivator's true chi and affect their divine ability. One extraordinary magical treasure. But did you think that my divine ability would be suppressed by a sword?" Su Fong secretly activated his divine ability. On the other side, the third crown prince smiled with satisfaction. Congratulations. If this continues, Su Fong will only have one outcome, and that is to be suppressed. The Heavenly King Guardian snorted. He's just a junior. How can he compete with us? If he can't even deal with him, he won't be qualified to stay by the Emperor's side in the future. Even the Lord of Five Poisons will be suppressed when he meets our combined power, the Holy Guardian said arrogantly, and even ridiculed the Lord of Five Poisons. Luckily, the sect leader wasn't here. If he was, his head would have been twisted off long ago. Buzz! Buzz! While Su Fong was trapped, the six-eyed heaven-shaking bell exploded a large number of primordial spirit attacks at the same time. This was to cooperate with the dog-headed rotten wooden saber to shackle and suppress Su Fong. It seemed that Su Fong had no other way. The combined power of the left and right elders, coupled with their strange Dharma treasures, is truly terrifying to the extreme. Even if 5 heartless grannies joined forces, they would not be a match for the two of them. With just the two of them, the Xinyuan Empire can make many people tremble in fear. The situation was getting worse and worse. Su Fong, however, had a perfect perception. He noticed what kind of danger he was facing. Most importantly, he activated the Yin-Yang Rakshasa sword again. Chapter 706. The dog-headed rotten wooden blade and the six-eyed heaven-shaking bell were restraining Su Fong. His young infant was restrained, his divine ability was suppressed, and his hands and feet were tied. Giant divine weapon. Especially, the left and right elders changed their hand seals. The wall formed by the 100 giant emperors suddenly turned into a 100-jong-tall giant. The giant's strength was indescribable. Every step it took caused the earth's core to crumble. Yin-Yang Rakshasa sword. The powerful attack that Su Fong had been preparing suddenly exploded. With him as the center, a strand of the divine might of the fire cloud sword star storm rumbled out in all directions, and a large black dog head that was interweaved from the dog head and rotten wooden blade was torn apart on the spot. Then, the six-eyed heaven-shaking bells appeared. I didn't expect him to still be able to fight his way out. Let's activate the giant divine weapon and release the absolute killing intent. He will definitely be able to escape and fight with us again. The Heavenly Guardian and Earth Saint Guardian realized that Su Fong was difficult to deal with. While the six-eyed heaven-shaking bells were still suppressing Su Fong, they controlled the 100-jong giant and almost pounced on Su Fong. Sacred Sovereign's Fist. The two guardians used the same sky-shaking fist art. Unexpectedly, the 100 giants' arms also suddenly bent and gathered all their aura on their arms. Then, they threw out 2 divine fists that could shake the small world. And Su Fong. At this time, he was still destroying the last of the 6-eyed, heaven-shaking bells. It seemed that he would be hit by the divine fists, or at least be smashed into a meat patty. World inheritance, strengthen my body, ethereal and boundless. At this moment, the fusion of the world's power, the human sovereign's inheritance, the ethereal truth, the limitless Tao art, and Su Fong's strength formed a great divine ability. At the same time, the giant's wrath used 2 divine fists. The first one fiercely hit the 6-eyed heaven-shaking bell and swallowed Su Fong's small body. The ground began to crack and the earth's core was shaking. The second divine fist followed. It was impossible to give Su Fong any chance to survive. Left and right elders, watch my sword. Chi. The giant's attack was unfolding. It was as if Su Fong and the giant's divine fist were forever fixed in place and had nothing to do with the left and right elders and the third prince. They also knew that Su Fong should have been killed by the giant. With such destructive power, it was undoubtedly a peerless magic treasure comparable to a Tao artifact. It had killed Su Fong. Su Fong wasn't an immortal. How could he withstand such a powerful attack? Death was inevitable. If he took a step back, any accident or impossibility would occur. Even if he didn't die, he would be seriously injured. In short, the combined power of the left and right elders represented absolute destruction. However, the left and right old men did not expect the following possibility. Su Fong had appeared in front of them without a sound. Moreover, it was a kind of natural aura. When the sword light pierced in front of them, the 2 peerless giants should not have been able to react in time and would have died under this heaven-defying attack. However, they were top experts and reacted immediately. Chi. Even if they could react in time, the sword light and sword chi still pierced through their chests, leaving behind a sword wound that was almost as deep as a finger. It was a ghastly sight as blood spurted out. Gulu gulu. Damn it! The sword light suddenly pierced into the void on the other side. The Heavenly King Protector and Earth Saint Protector trembled as they retreated. They had been stopped by the Third Crown Prince's aura and had not been sent flying. However, their chests could still be seen thumping from the sword wound. Su Fong appeared from a void where the sword light had disappeared. He held his sword and stared at the left and right old men. How is it that in the end, it's not you who will kill me, but me who will kill you? How are you able to dodge our attacks? The Earth Saint Protector vomited blood and pressed his hand on his sword wound. Don't forget that I'm the holder of the human emperor's inheritance. I'm different from the Third Crown Prince. The Third Crown Prince can only absorb the energy of the world and cannot cultivate the entire human emperor world. However, the inheritance I've fused with is the energy of the human emperor's countless years of cultivation. Su Fong glanced at the Third Crown Prince and then at the 2 protectors. The Great Emperor Dipper is very powerful. You should know that. Doichi's heart image birth is also very powerful. What do you mean? The Heavenly King Protector asked angrily. You don't even understand this. The Great Emperor Dipper and Heart Image Birth both died at my hands. I can already see how you will end up. However, you can submit to me, just like the Marquis of Qin Yuan Ho and the Holy King of Guangzhou. You don't have to end up like the Great Emperor Dipper and Heart Image Birth. Haha. Who do you think we are? We can betray our own royal family. Don't think that every cultivator in this world is afraid of you. We are afraid of death. Who in the world isn't afraid of death? But if you want us to betray our royal family and abandon our own people, we would rather die. Yes. Do you think we can't see through this after living for so long? I can see it too. It seems that in the future, I will have a bloody battle with the Xinyuan Empire. If you want to attack the human emperor world, then you are Su Fong's mortal enemy. I may not be strong now, and it will be difficult for me to deal with experts like you. But in the future, who can say what will happen in the future? Next, if I don't die, then you will. Third Crown Prince, I will fight with you and take your head. Crown Prince, be careful. This old man is only injured. I still have the ability to kill him. When Su Fang's gaze fell on the third crown prince, the left and right elders felt Su Fang's endless potential. It even made them feel an invisible fear of him for the first time. Even the third crown prince showed a trace of unease. Rottenwood's saber technique. The Heavenly King Protector ignored the sword wound and once again grabbed the dog-headed Rottenwood saber. He held it in front of his chest and immediately charged at Su Fang. The Holy Earth Protector also took out the six-eyed heaven-shaking bell. It seemed that these two giants were seriously injured and could only use their last resort, using their magical treasures to suppress Su Fang. Swish! The dog-headed Rottenwood saber slashed out before the Heavenly King Protector reached Su Fang. Immediately, dozens of wooden saber lights appeared, wanting to kill Su Fang in one strike. Bang! The Holy Earth Protector did his best to cooperate. He tossed out the six-eyed, heaven-shaking bell, wanting to kill Su Fang together with the wooden saber lights. Whoosh! If it was an attack, how tyrannical would the combined power of two magical treasures be? Su Fang was naturally not stupid. He had not come here to fight, but to kill. Using his advantage, he used his world energy and the limitless Taoist art to leave behind a large number of clones. Each clone was not waiting to be killed. Instead, after they appeared, they shot out flame cloud sword chi at the two experts. Unfortunately, the attacks of the two magical treasures were too terrifying. The Rottenwood saber lights also had the power to shackle divine abilities and true chi. One after another, the clones were destroyed. The six-eyed heaven-shaking bell landed on top of several clones. The clones were crushed into powder, and the resulting shockwave also destroyed the surrounding clones. The power of a magical treasure's direct attack was just this terrifying. Kill! The left and right elders used their magical treasures just like this. They used their magical treasures to attack whenever they saw a limitless clone or Su Fang's shadow. They went crazy. This meant that the left and right elders treated Su Fang as a strong enemy. I will be at a disadvantage if I fight two experts head-on. Su Fang hid among the clones that kept appearing. Adding that the clones were also attacking, his hiding was even more perfect. He had more space to observe the situation around him. At this moment, he was also shocked by the joint attack of the two elders. He believed that even the Lord of Five Poisons would not have an easy time dealing with the two elders. With such strength, destroying the Broken Sword sect was not a problem. Ordinary leaders would not be able to fight against the two elders. At the very least, they would have to be at the same level as Master Heiyun. How many experts like Master Heiyun were there in this small world? The Holy Earth Protector is more heavily injured. I will use you as a blood sacrifice for Edgeless. This is also the first step for me to take back the mortal Emperor world. After a series of attacks, Su Fang finally got the chance. In reality, he could not keep dodging like this. He had to kill the three experts as soon as possible. He did not know what was going on outside, but with the Lord of Five Poisons, Li Ziqing, the Vermilion Emperor, and the Nine-Segment Earth Dragon, he believed that even if the Xinyuan Empire's reinforcements came, they would not be their match. The Grand Marquis King and Zhenhua Crown Prince were also top experts. However, they could only admit defeat when facing the Lord of Five Poisons. Moreover, the Vermilion Emperor, the Nine-Segment Earth Dragon, and Li Ziqing all had Dao artifacts. It was not a problem for them to kill the two giants. Even if there were 10 more giants, they could still deal with them. Limitless Clone, Illusion and Reality Transformation. Suddenly, this time, nearly 100 Wuji doppelgangers appeared around Su Fang, densely packed together. They attacked with sword chi. World Blessing. Su Fang's main body passed through the clones. Wherever he went, the world's energy would transform into his own energy, creating more clones for him. Furthermore, his speed was soundless. With the fusion of the world's energy, his speed in the core world surpassed teleportation. Chi. The two elders were surrounded by the clones. The clones were unable to pose a fatal threat to them, but they were still able to make them battered. A sword light suddenly slashed across the Earth Holy Protector's neck from behind. A left hand followed his neck, its 5 fingers digging into his back and directly into his chest. It grabbed the Earth Holy Protector's heart and pulled it out. Ah! The Heavenly King Protector, not far away, saw the Earth Holy Protector being killed. He crazily screamed, but he was unable to break free from the clones. Clang! But the third prince's double dragon golden sword struck Su Fong just as the Holy Earth Protector was about to kill the Holy Earth Protector. Su Fong's body was actually covered in a layer of golden armor. Indestructible golden body. It also contained the power of a Tao artifact, causing the indestructible golden body to become even more sturdy. Third Crown Prince, don't be in such a rush. Once I kill these 2 protectors, I'll take your head. Su Fong had long since made preparations. He had already planned all of his threats. A Tao item combined with an indestructible golden body was a terrifying defense. Boom! The Third Crown Prince and Su Fong's auras exploded, and the 2 of them were knocked back. However, Su Fong was clearly a bit stronger. After taking a few steps back, he crushed the Earth Holy Protector's heart in front of the 2 experts. This antique was a protector of the Xinyuan Empire. At the same time his heart was crushed, his body and head were also crushed. That hateful gaze was covered by the dust along with a huge boulder that came crashing down. Su Fong licked the blood. Now it's much easier. Heavenly King Protector, you're next. You're not my match in the human emperor world. It's the same as how I'm not your match in the Xinyuan Empire. From the start, your calculations were wrong. Don't forget that the will of the human emperor's inheritance allows me to control any corner of the human emperor world. Crown Prince, let's go. Little did they know, Su Fong had thought that the 2 experts would fight him, but he saw the Third Crown Prince suddenly fly out. The Heavenly King Protector threw out a talisman and immediately fled to the side. Su Fong was surprised. The 2 experts wanted to escape, but not out of the human emperor world. They wanted to escape to the surface and meet up with the experts of the Xinyuan Empire. His heart trembled. Could it be that they've buried another tunnel underground? Brat, watch me. You go deal with the Third Crown Prince. Green Feather King suddenly sent a message. Chi! In the next second, he heard the sound of a sharp weapon cutting through blood. Chapter 707. I'm the future Realm Master, the 9-5 Sovereign. You want to kill me? Ha! I, Su Fong, am indeed immortal. I was born in an ordinary family, and I have no power to rely on. I have to fight for everything with my own hands. I don't envy those who live a life of luxury, and I don't want to become a crown prince like you. I won't let what belongs to me slip away. If I want something that doesn't belong to me, I will do my best to get it. I will use my own efforts to change my fate, and all difficulties will be trampled under my feet. Today, I will prove whether or not there is a difference between a crown prince like you and a mortal like me. Su Fong's entire body seemed to have grown roots. He floated in the air. Even the storm couldn't shake him in the slightest. The edgeless heavy sword emitted a shocking earth spirit light. Fate has always made you a lowly creature. Bang! The Third Crown Prince furiously charged forward. Chi! Su Fong also brandished the edgeless heavy sword. It was as if a huge force was pushing him from behind, making him as fast as a firework. Clang! Clang! In an instant, the double dragon golden sword's energy clashed with the edgeless heavy sword. The 2 clashed head-on. No one had the upper hand in terms of magical treasures or aura. Rising Dragon Sword Technique. The Third Crown Prince once again brandished his 2 swords. Along with the world's might and his own divine image cultivation, rings of golden sword light enveloped Su Fong. Sword Tomb Heaven Confinement. Countless golden sword Chi suddenly attacked Su Fong with lightning speed. To Su Fong, the Third Crown Prince's attack was truly powerful. It seemed like a sword technique, but it was actually a combination of the world's might and divine image. It was no longer an ordinary ability, but a supreme Tao art. However, he didn't panic. After fusing the world's might into his attack, he suddenly slashed out rings of sword light in all directions. Clang! Clang! The world's might collided. The sword Chi reversed. The divine image controlled the Tao art. The more ordinary the Tao art, the more explosive it was. It turned out that the third Crown Prince's attack was a life-and-death killing move. If Su Fong had been careless, he would have been in danger of being seriously injured. In fact, he had already been severely injured when he fought with the two enforcers. If he were to be injured again, it would be hard to say if he could defeat the third prince. The destructive aura formed by the battle between the two of them at the core of the earth caused countless layers of rock above to crumble layer by layer or directly turn into dust. The other side amidst the crumbling rocks and dust, a beam of immortal sword light pierced into the Heavenly King Protector's chest. His body had already been pierced by the sword earlier, and only half of it remained. At this moment, the green Feather Monarch's body was burning with green immortal spiritual chi. He activated the Soul Sword Monarch and killed the tycoon from the Xinyuan Empire. The Heavenly King Protector seemed to be weightless as he was lifted into the air by the sword chi. Impossible. How can you possess the power of an immortal when you are just a mortal? This king was trapped in the Xianjia Gate, but by a freak combination of factors, he managed to cultivate immortal chi. You are the strongest person this king has ever killed in his life. Dying under my immortal sword can be considered the most glorious moment of your path. Poof! The Soul Sword Monarch turned into a beam of sword light and disappeared in his palm. The Heavenly King Protector's body also turned into minced meat on the ground. A protector of a generation must have a lot of treasures. Su Fong wants to build a small world, and the resources they need are unimaginable. This kid has to start saving up. He put away all the treasures in empty bags in the corpse and flashed to the other side. Li Haojia and Ao Zhan were in a strange poisonous gas, and there were more than 30 experts from the Xinyuan Empire struggling. They were entangled by a lot of floating poisonous insects from the immortal world. The Blood Ghost True Demon spat out Yin-Shi that was fused with the poisonous gas and controlled the insects to trap those experts for Li Haojia and Ao Zhan. What Li Haojia wanted to do was to use his power and kill those experts one by one. Li Haojia sent a voice transmission. "Senior, I have the help of the ghosts, and those experts are attacked by the poisonous insects. They won't be able to hold on for long. Senior, go and help Su Fong. That kid has already sent me a voice transmission. He doesn't want me to interfere in the battle between him and the third prince. How about this? I'll go to the ground and take a look. You be careful." The green Feather Monarch suddenly flew toward the collapsed rock layer above. At the same time, golden sword light flashed. The third prince and Su Fong had fought at least 1,000 times. Both of them released their world aura and the sacred emperor divine origin scripture, coupled with their king-grade magic treasures. Neither of them could completely suppress the other. During this process, the third prince gradually lost his confidence. He didn't expect Su Fong to have such heaven-defying strength at the 8th layer Calamity Realm. He had underestimated his opponent. "I can't keep fighting like this. Maybe I'll end up like those two old men." The third prince looked tired. Suddenly, his eyes narrowed. "I have to use that power. While I'm only using my true chi, I can kill him with all my strength. Unparalleled, immortal spirit patriarch, support me with magic power." The third prince secretly unsealed a rune talisman inside his body. This rune talisman contained Tao, runes condensed from immortal spirit chi. When the runes scattered, the rune talisman shattered. Endless immortal spirit chi and king's power poured into the third prince's Jindan, meridians, and flesh. And within this power that didn't belong to the mortal world, a thunder character written in true text appeared. After the third prince absorbed the immortal spirit chi, this thunder character actually released a shocking immortal light and an unparalleled, overbearing divine might. All of this was happening inside the third prince's body. The third prince was still bursting with a powerful king's chi. He used his divine weapon to fight against Su Fong. Su Fong didn't notice anything strange about the third prince. He was confident that the third prince's true chi was constantly being consumed. Although the third prince's true chi was abundant, it wasn't as abundant as his. Once the time came, he would kill the third prince. Therefore, he was hibernating. But at this moment, the third prince suddenly revealed a sinister smile. His speed and true chi suddenly weakened a bit. Therefore, when he fought against Su Fong, he suddenly slowed down a bit. Just like that, a bit couldn't escape Su Fongda's perfect senses. The heavy sword ruthlessly pierced towards the third prince's neck. The third prince suddenly calmed down. I did it on purpose. On purpose? This made Su Fong's eyes stare blankly. Heavenly Monarch Heart Thunder. The sword light of the heavy sword was getting closer and closer to the third prince. It was less than 3 feet away. The third prince suddenly struck out with his right hand. A dazzling thunder character with immortal light burst out from the center of his palm. This is the power of an immortal. At this moment, Su Fong finally understood why the third prince said on purpose. It was already too late to withdraw the edgeless sword. Su Fong clenched his teeth and used all his strength to push the edgeless sword forward. Suddenly, the edgeless sword collided with the thunder character on his palm. He felt the sword light shatter the thunder character. But a golden lightning that contained the domineering aura of the sacred emperor's divine origin scripture suddenly exploded and struck the edgeless sword. Crack, crack. At this moment, Su Fong finally realized how vast and powerful this mysterious immortal Tao power was. When the golden lightning struck the edgeless sword actually trembled in the blink of an eye, as if it was being forcefully crushed by the golden lightning. He originally wanted to let go, but he seemed to hear a pleading sound coming from the edgeless sword. It seemed to be begging him to save it. But in Su Fong's hands, the edgeless sword shattered piece by piece from the tip of the sword. Su Fong felt as if a knife was being twisted in his heart. This was one of his most beloved magic treasures. At this moment, he firmly grasped the sword's hilt. He wanted to use all his strength to pull the sword out, but the golden lightning seemed to have a supreme suction force that wrapped around the edgeless sword. Die! Chi at this moment, the third prince roared. The golden lightning actually shot out a golden lightning blade from the edgeless sword, just like the golden twin dragon sword in the third prince's hand. The golden lightning blade rapidly struck Su Fong's chest. Fortunately, he had the Tao item Shenwei, the invincible golden body, and the flesh fetus divine armor to protect him. But in just one block, the golden lightning had created a hole in his defense and pierced through Su Fong's chest. Chapter 708. At this moment, Su Fong could only watch as he was struck by the golden lightning blade. He felt as if he was hit by a meteorite. His entire body was hit by an indescribable force, which swept through every corner of his body. Helplessly, the edgeless sword in his right hand flew out. While his consciousness was jumping, he saw the edgeless sword shatter bit by bit from the tip of the sword. It was cut by the golden lightning. The edgeless sword, a king-grade magic artifact, was destroyed by the mysterious power from the outside world. It made Su Fong's heart feel like it was being stabbed by a knife. The scene in front of him suddenly sped up. When the golden lightning pierced through Su Fong's chest, he was instantly sent flying with blood spurting out from his body. The third crown prince walked out of the golden lightning space. Looking at the bloody mist in front of him, he revealed a lofty smile. As I said, it's hard to say who will win. You're already extraordinary. He took one step at a time in the air. You were able to survive the attacks of the left and right elders. Even I can't do that. Unfortunately, this monarch rune was secretly sent to the lower world by the monarch ancestor of my empire's ancestors who ascended to the outside world. It was added to my body so that I can kill a strong enemy and save my life in a life and death situation. I don't need to explain the power of this rune. Even if you're an immortal, you'll be heavily injured even if you don't die. Besides, Su Fong is just a mortal. Boom! After the third crown prince finished speaking, Su Fong had already crashed into the stone wall. A large amount of the stone wall behind him fell off and peeled off. The third crown prince closed in step by step. He was sure that Su Fong would be crippled even if he didn't die. My Xinyuan Empire has countless years of history and foundation. This is something no cultivation force can imagine. You're just a mortal, yet you dare to be my enemy. This is your fate. Next, I'll kill you like how you killed the Holy Protector. I'll take over the human emperor's inheritance in your body. Cough, cough. Su Fang's powerless trembling sound came from the air. The dust dispersed. Su Fang was embedded in the stone wall. His body was covered in blood. There was a large bloody hole on his right chest and right shoulder. One could see the bloody rocks behind him through the hole. Not only were there bloody holes, but his body was also covered in golden lightning that hadn't disappeared. The golden lightning was attacking his body countless times like a sharp blade. Not only were there obvious wounds, but most of his meridians were also destroyed. This was no longer a serious injury, but a near-death experience. Su Fang trembled and tried to struggle free, but he was powerless. Shuitong looked at the third crown prince who was walking over and saw his deep killing intent. I didn't expect that even with the might of a Tao artifact, the indestructible golden body, and the flesh fetus divine armor, his defenses would still be shattered by the lightning. Inside the divine aperture, Su Fang looked at the dispirited Su Fang's young infant. He shook his head and blamed himself. Master, it's all you Er's fault. You wasn't able to protect Master with his full power. That lightning just now was the sealing power of a powerful immortal. Once it exploded, only a true immortal could withstand it. You wasn't able to protect Master with his full power, so he couldn't withstand that power. What are you saying? If it wasn't for you, there was still Wu Fengzhong. Wu Feng's sword blocked most of the power. My entire body would have been turned into a pile of flesh and blood under the lightning. I'm only heavily injured now. Master, use the divine power of the Tao artifact to help me absorb the essence of the heavenly gourd spirit tree and the immortal's power. But Master, most of your meridians have been cut. Without meridians to circulate true qi, you can't recover in a short time. You forgot. Look at my body. The black lotus blood threads formed by the black lotus true body. Heavens! Master's meridians are almost all broken. Only a portion of the black lotus blood threads were cut, and they instantly healed. I understand what Master means. You hastily circulated his own power. Su Fang was also secretly releasing his immortal's power, as well as having the flame cloud spirit gourd transmit the essence of the heavenly gourd spirit tree. I have to buy more time. He did his best to raise his head and look at the third crown prince. That power just now didn't belong to you. You're not dead yet. But even if you're not dead, you're not much different from being dead. The third crown prince laughed excitedly. That rune talisman just now was obtained by my empire's emperor many years ago. It came from the ancestor of a great world. It's the power of an immortal. Not only can it be used for explosive attacks, but it's also the main power I've cultivated for so many years. How hateful. It's you, brat, who forced me to use that power. I should have used it to kill even stronger people. So many cultivators from the Xinyuan Empire have also ascended to the great world. What do you think? How many emperors and princes from the Xinyuan Empire died in the mortal world? Many of them successfully ascended to the great world and became supreme immortals. Moreover, they're doing well in the great world, so they can transmit power to the lower world. I didn't know that the Xinyuan Empire was so powerful. What kind of existence are immortals? Could it be that those immortals from the Xinyuan Empire can descend to the lower world as they please? Su Fang asked again, pretending to be shocked and on the verge of death. In fact, he was buying time for his body to recover. Most of the black lotus blood threads in his body had not only healed, but also absorbed all the true qi in his meridians and began to flow endlessly. Someone like you can see immortals? How would an ant like you know about the great world? The third crown prince suddenly stopped when he saw that Su Fang was seriously injured and had even absorbed the double dragon golden sword into his body. There are almost no immortals in this small world. Those immortals who ascended to the great world disappeared without a trace. However, some immortals who went to the great world and cultivated supreme strength would find ways to contact the lower world. The ancestors of the Xinyuan Empire who ascended to the great world had established themselves in the great world long ago and contacted the Xinyuan Empire in the great world. However, The Great World has a rule that immortals are not allowed to descend to the lower world easily. Otherwise, a large number of immortals from the Xinyuan Empire would have come to the lower world and unified this galaxy, making our empire the ruler of the galaxy. My rune talisman was secretly sent from the Great World to the lower world and finally injected into my body. It was also for the sake of obtaining the human emperor world. The imperial family wants to nurture this crown prince into the second realm master, so they used this method. Generally, for those powers, even if immortals ascended to the Great World, it would be extremely difficult to contact the lower world. I won't waste words with you. Hand over your life. After I kill you, my influence in the Empire will definitely surpass everyone else. At this moment, after the third crown prince finished speaking, he took out the double dragon golden sword. Su Fong trembled uneasily. You don't have to kill me at all. Let me live so that you can seize the human emperor's inheritance in my body. Isn't that better? Third crown prince, if you give me a way out, I can give you the human emperor's inheritance with both hands. The third crown prince, Ingmei, suddenly laughed, his imperial aura burning in all directions. Now you're begging for mercy? Su Fong hoarsely said, if you give me a way out, wouldn't it make it easier for you to obtain the human emperor world? You are gravely mistaken. You think that this crown prince will let a strong enemy like you live in this world? I want to see how you crawl before me, like a dog wagging its tail and begging for mercy. When someone like you has entrusted your life to my sword, this kind of weak face is what I want. Die. Bang. A domineering aura exploded from the third crown prince's body. The double dragon golden sword danced like a great rock, spreading its wings to attack. Furthermore, his whole body was covered in that golden scale armor. The sword chi directly stabbed towards Su Fong's head. The two sides were less than 10 zhang apart. His eyelids twitched, and the sword chi of the double dragon golden sword had already arrived in front of Su Fong. It seemed that his whole body was lacerated to the bone, as well as that big bloody hole in his chest. Su Fong was just a pile of flesh and blood. How could he have any true chi or magic power? This kind of heavy injury, he couldn't even test out a bit of strength. However, a Tao artifact divine power gushed out from Su Fong's body, and the sword chi just happened to slash down. Clang! The double dragon golden sword collided with the divine power of the Tao artifact. With a heavy sound, the golden sword was pushed back, and the sword wielder, who was the third crown prince, was also pushed back. The third crown prince was shocked. Seeing that Su Fong didn't move, he let out a sigh of relief. You're a catastrophe realm cultivator, but you can actually use a Tao artifact to such an extent. But don't be too proud. I also have a Tao artifact called the Essence Refining Immortal Pearl. It was sent to the lower realm by an emperor ancestor who ascended to a great world. It was specially sent to the lower realm to help me obtain the mortal emperor world. Su Fong's blood-covered face squeezed out a smile. Maybe it was prepared for me. Prepared for you? Yes, so that I can snatch it from your hands, then merge it with the Essence Refining Immortal Pearl, and obtain the primordial god world. Are you out of your mind? Crack! Crack! Just as the third crown prince was about to attack again, he heard Su Fong suddenly straighten his body, causing the surrounding stone walls to collapse again. Your physical body, the emperor's aura burned around the third crown prince. With a sweep of Su Fong, the bones and meridians under his wounds could be seen. However, the third crown prince also saw some lotus-like blood-colored veins within some of his meridians. True chi was constantly flowing through them. What kind of physical body is this? The third crown prince was dumbfounded. I have a perfect physical body, and I just happened to merge with the immortal's black lotus true body. You could destroy my physical body and sever all my meridians, but the black lotus true body's veins are just like the meridians. Even if you use that great world's lightning energy, you won't be able to destroy the black lotus true body in my body. You want to fight me with just this? I didn't expect you to be able to use a Tao item. Now, I'll use a Tao item to kill you. The third crown prince roared, Tao item support. The ground trembled, and a Tao item's immortal light surged out of his body, causing his aura to double. The golden swords in his hands were trembling because of the overflowing energy. Devil's blood transformation. His opponent was right. With Su Fang's current physical body and injuries, even if he could use a Dao item, he wouldn't be able to fight the third crown prince. But at this moment, a devilish aura surged out of his body. It was incomparably ruthless, as if he had fallen into the devil Dao. Those disgusting bloody horns grew out of his shoulders once again. The third crown prince rubbed his eyes. Devil, true devil. But Su Fang, who had entered the blood transformation state, no longer had the deep look in his eyes. There was only a devilish dark light. I want you to die. Acting all mysterious, sovereign sword. The third crown prince's body burned with the Dao item's sovereign chi. The golden swords in his hand shook, and two dragon-like sword energies surrounded them. Chi. As the third crown prince charged out, the two dragon-like sword energies flashed in front of Su Fang and slashed down on Su Fang's neck and head in one smooth motion. Herculean divine palm. Under the blood transformation state, Su Fang's body seemed to have returned to normal. A Dao item and a mysterious aura surged out and disappeared into his right arm. Whoosh! At an even faster speed, his right arm pulled back like a Herculean divine bow. Then his 5 fingers flashed with a blinding light. Chi! Bang! Su Fang's attack brushed past the two dragon-like sword energies, and his right palm struck the third crown prince. Chapter 709. The third crown prince's body trembled. A divine power that did not belong to a small world or even a large world turned into palm energy. Pushed by the divine power of the divine image Jade Annulus, it forcefully covered his entire body until it devoured it. His eyes were bloodshot, and blood flowed out of his 7 orifices. He was even bloodier than the blood ghost. He stared at Su Fang in disbelief. He was actually not a match for a nameless mortal. Even if I die, I will drag you down with me. This seemed to be the only thought in the third crown prince's mind. Just as he was about to lose consciousness from the Herculean divine palm and the divine power of the Dao artifact, he channeled the last of his strength into his arms. The dual dragon golden sword cut Su Fang's arms. 2 streams of blood and some pieces of flesh flew out instantly. Boom! The third crown prince lost his balance and was mercilessly sent flying. From his expression, he regretted being careless. He regretted not activating the Dao artifact's defense. This time, he was the one who crashed into the stone wall. He was like a piece of human skin stuck to the stone wall. Bang! In the next second, Su Fang opened his hand and attacked the third crown prince. When the latter saw the killing intent, he frantically activated the divine power of the essence refining immortal pearl. However, the divine power was not shocking. It was just a layer of immortal light. When Su Fang saw it, he still grabbed it with his hand. A large portion of the immortal light was shattered, but it did not completely disappear. Boom! Perhaps even Su Fang did not expect to receive the attack. It was probably a subconscious action after entering the blood transformation state. This was because he only wanted to defeat the third crown prince. Subconsciously, he actually used his body to crash into the divine power of the Dao artifact that was protecting the third crown prince. The pair of bloody horns that grew out of his shoulders did not wait for his body to crash into it. The bloody horns were like the supreme Dao artifact Violent Lion's Fang that was bestowed to the 9 segments Earth Dragon. With a pu-pu sound, the horns forcefully pierced into the third crown prince's chest. Whatever Dao artifact's defense was completely shattered by the bloody horns at this moment. Su Fang grabbed the boiling demonic aura from the heavenly demon book with both hands and laughed sinisterly. I will not give you any more chances. The third crown prince was like a mortal. His body was covered with bloody wounds. His shoulders were pierced by the bloody horns. The third prince, was actually defeated by a freak like you. Your blood, your horns. I can't even control my fleshly body. As the demonic chi surged, a blood-colored magical treasure forcefully entered the third prince's mind. Croaky stomped his feet and dropped his hands. The third crown prince's unwilling gaze slowly faded away under pain and shock. As for Su Fong, he was currently in a scorching hot state. Both his physical body and young infant were about to combust in the next moment. Yuer released his divine might from within his divine aperture. Congratulations, Master, for finally killing the third prince. In order to kill him, I was heavily injured and my body only recovered a little. I had no choice but to use blood transformation while risking being devoured by nightmares. In the end, I defeated the enemy and defeated myself. I can control the power of blood transformation and prevent the evil nightmares hidden within blood transformation from taking over my consciousness. The nightmare blood transformation has actually become a part of my body. No matter how heavily injured my body is, even if I'm heavily injured, once I enter blood transformation, my body will no longer be divided into meridians, flesh, and blood. As long as I have blood, I can still attack and use part of my divine abilities. Blood transformation has also cleverly fused with the Black Lotus True Body. The Black Lotus True Body's ability is too inconceivable. Over 80% of my meridians and flesh were destroyed by that lightning energy. Most of the remaining ones are the Black Lotus blood threads in my body. I didn't think that not only are these blood threads tough, but they can also recover in such a short time. After the Black Lotus blood threads fused, they became thicker than before and allowed true chi to flow. This allowed me to achieve Nightmare's blood transformation. With the two working together, I can still fight in desperate situations. Nightmare's blood transformation. From now on, my physical body has gained another ability apart from Great Circle and the Black Lotus True Body. It allows my physical body to surpass most cultivators. Chi, 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 chi. The third prince's blood spurted out. Looking at the pair of sharp horns that were even tougher than most king-grade magic artifacts, his physical strength had reached another level. Suddenly, Su Fong happily accepted this devilish yet not devilish state. Being in this state made him feel limitless power. He decided that he would definitely cultivate the Nightmare's blood transformation properly in the future. He would treat it as a divine ability or even a mental cultivation technique. Suppressing his consciousness, he controlled the blood horns to return to his body. Then his body seemed to dehydrate, turning into a feather without any weight. With a bang, he sat down on the ground, almost fainting. Fortunately, Yuer had been secretly helping Su Fong fuse with the Immortal's power and the Yang strengthening pill, allowing his physical body to continue recovering. My 8 Yang meridians were unexpectedly undamaged by the lightning energy that didn't belong to this small world. This is the only place in my body that hasn't been damaged. The Yang meridians are truly extraordinary. I thought they were only used to store the power of the 9 suns, but I didn't expect them to be so indestructible. At this moment, Su Fongjin felt a sense of dizziness and powerlessness, as if he was about to collapse. But his willpower allowed him to support his body. He began to cooperate with the Tao item's divine power, allowing his physical body to rapidly recover. Seeing the 8 Yang meridians in his body intact, he looked forward even more to cultivating the 9 Yang transformations in the future. How high would that be? Yuer said worriedly in his divine aperture. Master, with such serious injuries, it will probably take at least a few decades. Even if Master has many physical abilities, you will still need this time to fully recover. I don't need to think about recovering now. As long as I recover a little, I will have the ability to attack and condense my divine ability. I still need to go out and bring the third prince's head to make those Xinyuan Empire experts submit. Master, don't worry. Although I'm seriously injured, I have the Black Lotus True Body. In addition, my physical body has reached perfection, and I have the Immortal's power constantly replenishing me. I will be fine. In the past, I didn't know that the Black Lotus True Body was so extraordinary. It was far beyond what I knew. No wonder 7 Star Child insisted on coming to the lower domain to deal with me. All right, Master doesn't need to worry. With Yuer here, Master will recover. Master's dragon taming with left arm will also help Master recover after absorbing the essence of the heavenly gourd spirit tree. I have to speed up. Su Fong gradually allowed himself to settle down. Looking ahead, the space in the center of the earth was filled with poisonous gas. It was the familiar poisonous gas of poisonous insects. The blood wraith, true devil, finally showed its destructive power at this moment. With so many blood insects, if those experts were careless and were bitten by them, they would slowly be poisoned to death. This time, even Ewer couldn't protect me. That lightning-type energy was too terrifying. Even Seven-Star Child would be half dead if he was hit. Fortunately, Ewer, the invincible golden body, the flesh, fetus, divine armor, and my own extraordinary physical body were able to neutralize some of the divine power. Otherwise, I would have become a pile of meat paste. The battle with the third prince was the most thrilling battle I've ever experienced. His body was indeed changing at an unbelievable rate. If it were any other cultivator with the Grand Elder's strength, they would need at least 1,000 years to recover. If he was really injured like Su Fong, he wouldn't be able to sit up. He would have fainted and slept for years. It would take him at least a few decades to wake up. About 2 years later, Brother Fong, Li Haojie brought Ao Zhen and flew over with his Dao item's divine power. He was covered in injuries. When he saw that Su Fong's body was covered with scars, it was a ghastly sight, and he felt uncomfortable in his heart. Not wanting to disturb Su Fong, Li Haojie returned and began to clean up the experts of the Xinyuan Empire who had been tortured or killed by the poison. Another half-year passed. The flesh on Su Fong's chest had healed. Most of the wounds on his body had disappeared. It seemed that he had almost recovered. Actually, that wasn't the case. He had only let his physical body recover. His meridians, bones, and flesh hadn't recovered even 1%. However, because of the Black Lotus True Body and the Dao item's protection, Su Fong could control a portion of his true qi. He had also devoured the power of many immortals, so he could control his physical body. The moment my body was destroyed by the lightning-type energy, almost all of my true qi was lost. The yang energy in my 8 yang meridians was also used up. However, the true qi I recovered is enough for me to deal with ordinary experts. He stubbornly got up and almost fell again. He clenched his teeth and endured for a while. He arrived in front of the Third Crown Prince's corpse. Third Crown Prince, in the end, you, a lofty son of heaven, were defeated by a mere mortal like me. Not only that, but everything of yours will be mine. For example, the sovereign qi you cultivate, the essence of the Xinyuan Empire, and the source of the mortal emperor world. Whoosh! The Third Crown Prince's corpse was sucked into his body. He looked down and saw that the double dragon golden sword had fallen to the ground and clashed with the rocks. This artifact is not bad. It is suitable for the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. Third Crown Prince, since you destroyed my edgeless sword, you can use your double dragon golden sword to make up for it. He grabbed the golden sword. After losing its owner, this artifact had fallen into a deep slumber. When Su Fong had time, he would fuse it with the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. He turned around and slowly flew into the sky. He took out the fire god elephant and stood on its back. He slowly flew towards the poisonous space in front of him. Brother Su, he had just arrived at the periphery of the poisonous ruins when Li Haojie came to welcome him. His injuries were also very serious, but they were much better than Su Fong. When the two of them arrived at the center, they saw the blood ghost true demon killing the poison men who were struggling on the verge of death. The poison men were all experts of the Xinyuan Empire. They did not die at Li Haojie's hands, but at the hands of the blood ghost true demon. After they died, their corpses were swallowed by the blood ghost true demon. Su Fong also saw a large amount of poisonous gas on Gui's body that was similar to the blood bugs. Gui cooperated with me to deal with these experts. During the process, he directly swallowed the blood bugs and the poisonous gas of the blood bugs. He used this to quickly control the blood bugs. I did not expect him to fuse with the poison. Now that he is releasing his own poison, its power is about the same as the blood bugs. Li Haojie pointed at the surrounding ruins. Also, look at the surrounding ruins. There are many dead bloodbugs. These were all killed by the experts using their artifacts. I originally thought that these bugs were very powerful and came from the Shinja Gate. I did not expect them to be so weak. Only a small portion of them survived. The poisonous bugs in the Shinja Gate are indeed powerful, but their poison gas is what is powerful. They themselves are not special. This is the law of the heavenly Tao. No one is perfect, and no life form can be perfect. Otherwise, the law of the heavenly Tao would lose its balance and be overturned by that life form. Su Fong could feel that after this bloody battle, his Tao heart had changed quite a bit. Su Fong suddenly patted Su Fong's shoulder. "Brotherly, you stay here. Wait for the blood ghost true demon to deal with these poisoned men. Then, all of you can return to the surface. I want to end this battle. I cannot let my side suffer too many casualties. All right, I can't be of much help now." Swish! The fire god elephant carried Su Fong up to the destroyed rock crevice and flew up layer by layer. Chapter 710. The closer he got to the surface, the more he heard the rumbling, extending from the top to the depths. The rumbling was deafening. When the fire god elephant raised its trunk, it blasted through the rock layer and soared into the sky, causing explosions around it. When he was in the air, he looked around and saw the flames of war everywhere. He used his perfection realm ability to sense the surroundings. There were at least 100 battlefields in the entire human emperor world. There were also some mighty divine origin cannons shooting around him. "Senior," Su Fong sent out his will. In a few breaths' time, a huge figure flew over. First, it was the Lord of Five Poisons, then Li Ziqing, and now Green Feather King. After the four met, Su Fong immediately understood the situation. Of the two peerless experts of the Xinyuan Empire, Taiho King and Zhenhua Crown Prince, one was dead and the other was injured. Taiho King was killed by the Lord of Five Poisons, while Zhenhua Crown Prince was defeated by Li Ziqing. Now, Zhenhua Crown Prince was leading his experts to resist tenaciously. More than half of the 100,000 troops of the Xinyuan Empire had been killed, and 1/3 of the 10,000 experts on his side had also fallen. It was a lose-lose situation. He also sensed that the Vermilion Emperor and the 9-segment Earth Dragon were leading the Big Goblin to kill the Xinyuan Empire's army in the distance. If this continued, it would take some time to end this battle. Fortunately, it had been 3 years since the beginning of the sneak attack, and the reinforcements of the Xinyuan Empire had yet to arrive. Everything was still within their expectations and control. "Senior, I'll have to trouble you. This is the head of the 3rd Crown Prince of the Xinyuan Empire." After grasping the situation, Su Fong took out a bloody head. It was the head of the 3rd Crown Prince. After giving the head to the Lord of Five Poisons, Su Fong began to release the human emperor's inheritance, controlling the world power of the human emperor world. This inheritance, combined with the world power, turned into an indescribable divine power. Li Ziqing and Green Feather King used their magic power to help the exhausted and injured Su Fong, spreading this divine power to the entire human emperor world. About an hour later, with the help of the two experts, Su Fong's will spread throughout the battlefield. He could see the experts on his side and the Xinyuan Empire's experts. Su Fong nodded. "Senior." The Lord of Five Poisons lifted the 3rd Crown Prince's head and let it slowly float in the air. It merged with the divine power of the world that Su Fong controlled. Instantly, countless heads flew out in all directions like clones. The Lord of Five Poisons let out a thunderous roar. At this time, the 4 of them worked together to spread the message in the human emperor world without the protection of the barrier. Experts of the Xinyuan Empire, listen up. You all recognize this head, right? This is the supreme existence in your hearts, the 3rd Crown Prince of the Xinyuan Empire. He has already been killed by the human emperor's inheritor, Su Fong. The 2 protectors of the Xinyuan Empire, the left and right elders, also died at his hands. If you continue to resist and listen to the orders of Crown Prince Zhenhua, you will only end up dead. If Crown Prince Zhenhua wants to die, we will immediately help him. But is it worth it for you to follow him and die for nothing? You need to see reality clearly. Even the crown prince died at our hands. What can you do? I hope you will stop resisting. The next one to die is not you, but Crown Prince Zhenhua. The Lord of Five Poisons cooperated with Su Fong to face the world. With the use of the world, the voice spread to every corner. The third crown prince's head also floated in the air of the battlefield. Su Fong suddenly looked at the three experts. That crown prince Zhenhua is going to escape. He can't. Li Ziqing activated his incredible speed and released his Dao artifact to fly into the sky. Brat! Green Feather King turned into his beast form and signaled for the Lord of Five Poisons and Su Fong to stand on his back. They were like giant mountains as they teleported forward. Hua hua hua! In the depths of the human emperor world. Suddenly, over 1,000 experts of the Xinyuan Empire flew into the galaxy in a sorry state. The leader was Crown Prince Zhenhua. However, could his speed be compared to Green Feather King's? Li Ziqing first flew over from the sky. Together with Green Feather King, Crown Prince Zhenhua immediately revealed an uneasy and fearful expression. He still led his experts to escape. Su Fong roared in the sky. Crown Prince Zhenhua, you are only thinking of escaping now. If you surrender now, I will give you a way out. The Grand Marquis King is dead, so are the left and right elders. The third Crown Prince's head has fallen, and you are the only one left. Crown Prince Zhenhua ignored him and continued to escape with his experts. Watch me. Heaven Monarch's Soul Sword. With the power of a Dao artifact, the Dao artifact can still travel in the galaxy without the protection of the world boundary. He was still stubborn. Without waiting for Li Ziqing to make a move, Green Feather King suddenly opened his mouth and spat out a human-sized immortal radiance sword aura. An immortal stone was embedded in the sword body, and it instantly teleported several times faster. Any shackles on life forms in the galaxy could not stop a Dao artifact. This was because the Dao artifact was already above the small world. Crown Prince Zhenhua's strength was not comparable to the left and right elders or the third crown prince, but the difference was at most 1 point. He felt a terrifying threat coming from behind. When he turned around and saw the Dao artifact flying over, he was unwilling to give up. He took out an azure dragon halberd and used it to cleave at the Dao artifact in front of thousands of eyes. Clang! Clank! In the sky, the auras of the two Dao artifacts clashed first. Immediately after, the two artifacts clashed in the starry sky like meteorites colliding, exploding with dazzling radiance. That azure dragon halberd was instantly shattered. Heaven Monarch's Soul Sword pierced through the starry sky and used the giant Dao artifact to release boundless sword light, shackling Crown Prince Zhenhua in the sky. Cough! Green Feather King coughed and let out a muffled sound. Su Fong and the Lord of Five Poisons felt it and asked worriedly. The Rock King shook his head. This king is fine. He just used the Dao artifact continuously and consumed his yang soul and true qi. All of you surrender. Li Ziqing came to Heaven Monarch's Soul Sword side and looked at the thousands of experts below. He released the Dao artifact's divine prowess and poured down. When those experts saw Crown Prince Zhenhua being instantly suppressed by the Dao artifact, they were all shocked physically and mentally. If they still dared to make a move, wouldn't they be courting death? They were all dumbstruck. Li Ziqing looked at Crown Prince Zhenhua, who was trapped by Heaven Monarch's Soul Sword's Dao light. You are very strong. Even the grand elders of those great factions are not as strong as you. Su Fong nodded at the Lord of Five Poisons. Senior, let everyone see this scene. The latter immediately executed his absolute mystical ability. A thought merged with Su Fong's world's inheritance divine prowess. This scene also turned into a clone and flew to various battlefields in the human sovereign world. Crown Prince Zhenhua, your strength is still inferior to the third crown prince. Do you want to follow in his footsteps? You might be the crown prince, but you are only the Xinyuan Emperor's godson and not the third crown prince's biological son. In terms of talent and strength, the third crown prince is actually not as good as you. His body has the power from the Xinyuan Empire's immortals that ascended to the great world. Su Fong came to Heaven Monarch's soul sword side and looked down at the unresigned crown Prince Zhenhua. If the Xinyuan Empire really valued you, why didn't they give you more resources and authority? If they nurtured you like how they nurtured the third crown prince, you would have already surpassed the third crown prince. Am I right? The winner takes all. I, Crown Prince Zhenhua, have experienced countless battles. Would I submit to the enemy? Crown Prince Zhenhua was unmoved. Su Fong was very patient. What about the subordinates behind you? What about the Xinyuan Empire's cultivators in the human sovereign world? It is fine if you die, but what about them? They will follow you, the left and right elders, the Grand Marquis King, and the third crown prince. If you're really a good leader, you should think for them, right? Li Ziqing saw Crown Prince Zhenhua's attitude and was very unhappy. Kid, why are you wasting your energy on him? You can appear now and use the human sovereign's inheritance. We will work together and activate the Tao artifact to descend to the battlefields. The Xinyuan Empire's army will be able to resist. In less than a month, the Tao artifact will be able to wipe out the army that is many times stronger than now. You heard it, right? This is the reality. How long do you think they can resist? I wasn't around before, but now I can use the world divine prowess and the human sovereign's inheritance. I can let the seniors work together and activate the Tao artifact to kill people across space. Even a king-grade Dharma treasure can kill people across space, let alone a Tao artifact. You should be very clear about how powerful a Tao artifact is. Oh my God! Crown Prince Zhenhua's defense and golden armor were suddenly shattered by his helpless roar. His hair was disheveled as he looked at the vast Milky Way from within the Tao artifact. A heavenly genius, a peerless genius, was unable to leave this small world. If you really want to succeed, if you really want to save these people, then immediately order them to submit. You are the same. Furthermore, I can give you a Tao artifact on the spot. Su Fong was still patiently persuading him. You should be very familiar with this Tao artifact. It came from the third crown prince. It's called the Yuan Refining Immortal Pearl. It's something that the Xinyuan Empire's emperors who ascended to a greater world projected onto the lower realms. They valued the third crown prince greatly. Unfortunately, the third crown prince had such resources and immortals secretly helping him, but he still couldn't become a genius. It's not unjust for him to die at my hands. I believe that once you obtain the Yuan Refining Immortal Pearl, you will definitely be able to defeat the Xinyuan Emperor you worship. More importantly, you can save your subordinates, right? Crown Prince, just agree. We don't blame you. Furthermore, the Empire really doesn't treat you well. You're both Crown Princes, so why isn't your palace in the Imperial City? Why hasn't the Emperor asked you to help him? Some experts were also persuading Crown Prince Zhenhua. Kid, you've really changed. You can use your heart to deal with the enemy, persuade the enemy, and end the war. This is what a leader should have. Green Feather King turned back to his original body and suddenly looked at Su Fong with an admiring gaze. The Lord of Five Poisons gave him a thumbs up. Hung King, this kid has now become a figure who can take charge of an area on his own. He's also surpassing old people like you and me. Junior still has a lot to learn. I just hope that Junior's efforts won't go to waste. Su Fong was humble. He was still that ordinary cultivator who wasn't as sharp as Prince Shui, Sheng Changsheng, or Huang Lingyao. Humility was the embodiment of a strong heart. It could allow people to remain calm and focus on cultivation. The greater their achievements would be. Every man for himself, and the heavens take the hindmost. I, Crown Prince Zhenhua, am here today. I will never have anything to do with the Xinyuan Empire. I am no longer Crown Prince Zhenhua. Crown Prince Zhenhua suddenly said in a compassionate voice. He immediately bowed to Su Fong. The only people who could make me submit were the Xinyuan Empire. I was also given the title of Crown Prince, with the same surname as the imperial family. But I'm no longer the Crown Prince. From now on, I will follow my master's surname. I am Su Zhenhua. His actions caused the thousands of experts behind him to be incomparably shocked. They hadn't expected Crown Prince Zhenhua to change so quickly. The Lord of Five Poisons gave Su Zhenhua a thumbs up. Talent. Su Fong also realized he had underestimated this crown Prince Xinhua. He immediately waved his hand. Su Jinhua, since you become a member of my family, Su, listen to my orders. Issue a decree to all the cultivators of the Xinyuan Empire that they will no longer resist. Yes. Su Jinhua immediately activated the rune talisman. With a shocking emperor's chi, he sent out seals one after another. He released an unparalleled, majestic voice. Everyone listen to my orders. No longer resisting. Rest and reorganize. Accept your surrender. If you continue to resist, you will only end up like the third crown prince. Chapter 711. Su Jinhua was truly obedient. At this moment, Green Feather King, Li Zuqing, the Lord of Five Poisons, and Su Fong were probably all thinking the same thing. Su Fong said with satisfaction, Su Jinhua, you've done well. I'll fulfill my promise and give you the Yuan refining immortal pearl that the third prince has. Kneel. Master. Su Jinhua immediately knelt down. Not only did he kneel down, but the 1,000 experts behind him also knelt down. Each of them was sincerely convinced. At this point, they would really choose to be buried with the third prince. He condensed the power of the shackles and then flicked his finger. Boundless shackles and an immortal bead slowly descended on Su Jinhua's head in front of everyone. He crawled until the immortal bead entered his body and planted an imprint with the power of the shackles. From this moment on, Crown Prince Jinhua truly disappeared. The giants also let out sighs of relief. This Su Jinhua seemed unpredictable and capricious. If he really did have some ulterior motives, it would really be difficult to control him. The other experts had personally witnessed Su Fong keeping his promise and giving the Dao item to Su Jinhua. They were deeply moved and even gave the Dao item to an outsider. The Xinyuan Empire really couldn't do this. No power or person would easily give a Dao item to an outsider. Let's go. Su Fong summoned the Flame Cloud Spirit Gourd and had the three giants and Su Jinhua float above him. He led the experts to fly to the ground. The Flame Cloud Spirit Gourd carried them and was very easy to fly. On the way, Su Fong had Su Jinhua order all the Xinyuan Empire's troops to gather at their former headquarters. On the way, the Vermilion Emperor and the 9-segment Earth Dragon brought a group of Big Goblin to gather. Fortunately, the Big Goblin didn't suffer many casualties. The experts led by the 10 great experts also came from all directions. Qin Yuan Ho, Grand Elder He Zun, Sacred Monarch Broad Illumination, and Grand Elder Hong Lian. The 10 great experts were also heavily injured. Only 6,000 or so out of the 10,000 experts had survived. Most of those who died in battle were in the catastrophe realm. After Su Fong regained his power, he distributed a large number of aphrodisiac pills, which had been fused with the immortal's blood essence, to everyone. The team slowly landed on a ruined land. Su Jinhua could see the remnants of the Xinyuan Empire's army flying towards the ruins. There were more and more of them. Su Jinhua used his will, and these people gradually formed a camp. At present, there were more than 30,000 people. Both sides suffered heavy losses. Apart from the cultivators on both sides, there were about 20,000 slaves left. These slaves were captured by the Xinyuan Empire to migrate planets for the Xinyuan Empire. Most of them did not participate in the war and were lucky enough to survive, but a small number of them died in the flames of war. The slaves were actually cultivators, but they were shackled by the Xinyuan Empire. They were poisoned and sealed in their Jindan, making it impossible for them to cultivate. Coupled with the fact that he was being watched over, he would never be able to regain his freedom. But now, Su Fong announced in front of them that they were free people, but they had to cooperate with the migration of the human emperor world to the Nebula Galaxy. The slaves were very willing. Su Fong let them follow the Big Goblin and fly to the back of the human emperor world. Su Jinhua, take these people and rest here first. Su Fong did not suppress these tens of thousands of people on the spot. He let Su Jinhua watch over them, and then let Qin Yuan Ho and the other experts rest nearby. As for Su Fong, together with Green Feather King, Li Zuqing, and the Lord of Five Poisons, they soon arrived at the back of the Star River Passage where the human emperor world was located. In front of them was the center of the Dust Star River, and behind them was the Nebula Galaxy. Su Fang ordered in the air, Zhu Huang, 9 segments Earth Dragon. You two will lead the young commanders and be the main force of the migration of the human emperor world. These slave cultivators can only assist you. The 3 seniors and I will control the origin of the human emperor world. Let's work together and migrate the human emperor world out of this Dust Star River. Everyone immediately began to move. The slaves obediently listened to Su Fang's orders and floated a certain distance away from the human emperor world with the big goblin. Looking at the surrounding Star River and the vast human emperor world, Su Fang suddenly felt very powerless. With his heavily injured body, he could not do anything at all. The Lord of 5 Poisons said, "Kid, don't worry about anything else. You're responsible for releasing the power of the world. We will release magic power and true chi to cooperate with you." It was really heartwarming. Fortunately, there were these big shots this time. Urging the power of the world, the 3 big shots kept their magic power and true chi in Su Fang's body. Su Fang could immediately use his abilities. After waiting for a while, Su Fang urged the human emperor's inheritance and used the power of the world to permeate the entire human emperor world, turning it into a barrier. World barrier enveloping the human emperor world should be a world barrier. But this was not the case. It was just that the origin of the human emperor world had condensed on the surface of the human emperor world, forming a world barrier to make it easier for Su Fang to control the entire planet. Whoosh, whoosh, chains kept peeling out from the barrier. Zhu Huang, 9-segment Earth Dragon, led the big goblin and more than 20,000 slaves. They also actively urged their true chi to meet the chains and fuse with them. These chains were formed by the power of the human emperor world and the shackles. It was not a magic treasure, but a great ability. Only the realm master could use such amazing control of the chains. At this time, the entire human emperor world was under the control of Su Fang, Green Feather King, Li Ziqing, and the Lord of 5 Poisons. The 4 of them worked together to shackle a small world. Rise! The big goblin reverted to its original form. As 9-segment Earth Dragon raised its arms and shouted, they grabbed the chains together and began to struggle with more than 20,000 slaves. With one small step after another, they slowly moved the human emperor world. Moving a small world, only the Supreme Realm Master could do it. Of course, the power of nature could do it too. Humans could not cross the starry sky, so only the Realm Master could do it. The Xinyuan Empire was a Realm Master force and had countless means to move the human emperor world. Even Doichi would find it difficult to do so. This scene was so shocking. It was not an exaggeration to call it a miracle. The human emperor world slowly moved as if it had taken root. The muscles of the big goblin and the cultivators were as tense as steel plates. But as the human emperor world moved faster and faster, everyone gradually relaxed. In the end, the human emperor world moved at the speed of mortals. With tens of thousands of people moving, it began to move slowly toward the starry passage. About a year later, tens of thousands of masters flew over. Sister Yu came as planned. They had successfully opened the entire starry passage. After meeting, Su Fang asked Sister Yu to lead the masters of the divine sect to continue moving the dust behind to block the starry passage. The masters of the divine sect covered the rear of the human emperor world. In order to speed up, or at least maintain this speed, Su Fang took out more immortal power pills and gave them to the slaves. When the slaves saw the pills, they cried bitterly. Who didn't treat them as treasures? Being suppressed by the Xinyuan Empire, they could only die of exhaustion. They didn't expect to get such precious pills from Su Fang. After taking the pills, their vigor and vitality were obviously different from before. Because they couldn't cultivate, they could only waste their origin. The slaves had been moving the human emperor world all year round. Their spiritual chi and origin were constantly consumed. It was almost no different from death. Now, with the extraordinary power of the immortal power pills, they had a momentary recovery. As Su Fang expected, the migration speed almost doubled. But this speed didn't last long before it was affected. It was an unpredictable an unstoppable influence. This starry passage wasn't stationary. The power of nature in this dust galaxy had been dominating this galaxy, causing the space of the galaxy to be in a state of motion. Therefore, a lot of dust that had been moved in the past entered the starry passage. When the human emperor world moved, it happened to collide with these materials and even rubbed against them, which affected Su Fong to a certain extent. If it weren't for everyone's concerted efforts, the human emperor world would slowly stop, like a huge meteorite embedded in the center of the galaxy. All of this was expected by Su Fong and the others. It would take several years to move out of this dust galaxy. Su Fong could have used these years to quickly restore his strength, but at this moment, he must focus on controlling the origin of the human emperor world and cooperate with everyone in the migration. In fact, Green Feather King, Li Zuching, and the Lord of Five Poisons were all very tired. They could only grit their teeth and persevere. In less than 2 years, Sister Yu sent news that the reinforcements of the Xinyuan Empire had finally arrived. They came in more than a dozen heavenly ships, estimated to be hundreds of thousands of troops. What a big family! Fortunately, there was dust outside. When the heavenly ships entered the starry passage, the army of the Xinyuan Empire was preparing to fly into the galaxy. After some calculations, the reinforcements were no longer a threat to Su Fong. Unless there was a peerless master who could chase after them, the army couldn't catch up. Not long after, Qin Yuanho, Guangzhou Sage King, Elder He Zun, and other masters flew out of the human emperor world with more than 6,000 people to support. Su Jinhua also took the initiative to come with tens of thousands of Xinyuan Empire's experts. Su Fong created more chains. As a result, the migration speed increased by several times. They began to move at a speed close to that of a longevity cultivator, constantly passing through the galaxy passage. Any matter that blocked their path would be smashed to pieces, causing explosions in the galaxy near the passage. At this moment, everyone saw hope and relaxed. Tens of thousands of people in a desolate planet crossed the center of the starry passage and floated into the depths of the galaxy. On the other side of the starry passage, more than a dozen heavenly ships floated in the galaxy. Thousands of generals gathered in the galaxy. The leader was actually the Great Emperor Dipper. The Great Emperor Dipper was now a reincarnated cultivator. His strength and aura were not as strong as the generals and elders around him. A few masters flew over from the starry passage. "My lord, after sensing for a while, we can't contact the third prince. We can't get any response." No response. After hearing this, the Great Emperor Dipper suddenly became cold. There are only two possibilities. First, the third prince and the others have been killed. Otherwise, they're fighting with the enemy and can't contact us. An expert said, the left and right elders are overseeing that place. Even if the Lord of Five Poisons comes personally, he won't be able to gain any benefits. We can't wait any longer. Even if we don't know the situation inside, we still have to kill our way out. Our army of hundreds of thousands, even if the Five Poisons divine sect comes out in full force, they will still be crushed. Pass down this king's order. According to the plan, start moving the troops into the galaxy. Yes, many of the generals flew towards the heavenly ships. As for the Great Emperor Dipper, he did not move at all. Only when the surrounding army formed a huge formation and entered the starry passage did he return to the heavenly ships. In the depths of the starry passage, the human emperor world was quickly traversing. Su Fong, who was still forming a seal, suddenly looked at the Lord of Five Poisons. The Xinyuan Empire has finally made a move. The sect leader's expression did not change. It's too late. If they send their troops in time and take action, they will still be a threat to us. But now, we have already left them behind. That is an army. It is not easy to fly through the starry passage that is full of dust. We have finally taken back the human emperor world, but I'm still worried. Let's see if the Xinyuan Empire will risk their lives to chase us across the starry passage and into the starry passage. If they really don't care about the consequences and chase after us, there will be a bloody battle. Su Fong thought about it carefully. He could not worry about this at the moment. In fact, he could not think too much about it. with his current strength, he was still unable to confront the Xinyuan Empire head-on. Chapter 712. After nearly 10 years of migration, the Renhuang world was about to leave the dusty planet under the control of the four peerless masters. The starry river passage behind them was also disappearing. The masters of the five poisons divine sect were all powerful and full of vital energy. It was not difficult for them to move the dust. During this period of time, they had not seen the army of the Xinyuan Empire chasing after them. Presumably, no one had planted a spy for them. If they had tipped them off, it would not be easy to find any clues in the dust galaxy. The nebula had appeared around them at some point. They had left the edge of the dusty galaxy. Ahead of them was the cold and even more dangerous nebula galaxy. They had finally succeeded. Not only were the masters relieved, but the big goblin and the slaves also slowed down their migration. Soon, the entire Renhuang world was swallowed by the nebula and gradually disappeared. Nebula, this was a very common and complex substance in the endless Milky Way. It was not just a cloud, but also a terrible force that could shackle life, vital energy, and divine powers. Usually, the starry sky with nebulas was forbidden to humans. Once they entered the nebula, they would lose their sense of direction and unable to absorb energy. As a result, they would lose their way and die. In the small world, as long as there was a nebula, it was a forbidden area where no human could be found. Especially in the starry sky where the Renhuang world entered, the nebula was too terrible. Even masters like the Grand Elder would lose their way if they entered. Only those realm lords who could control the power of the world and immortals could enter the nebula without losing their way through some special means. But even so, with the nebula shackles, the cultivators could not survive. Su Fong had taken out immortal blood essence pills for the big goblin, the slaves, and the masters under his command many times. Tens of thousands of people, tens of thousands of pills at a time. They contained the immortal blood essence. He thought that the two immortal corpses and the half-immortal corpse he had obtained could be used for many years. Who would have thought that the capture of the Renhuang world this time would almost completely strip an immortal corpse? The consumption of resources had reached a jaw-dropping level. Without the immortal blood essence and the special immortal pills, it would take at least another 30 years to move the Renhuang world out. Who knows how many of them died of exhaustion? Another 4 years passed. When the human sovereign world entered the depths of the starry skies, the experts of the five poison divine sect, under the leadership of Sister Yu, finally completed their mission. They blocked most of the star river passageways and slowly chased after the human sovereign world. As for the Xinyuan Empire, it was estimated that they were now like headless flies, still searching in the depths of the dust star river. By the time they found the nebulous starry sky, it would take them at least a few decades to do so. Almost 20 years later, finally, with everyone's concerted efforts, the mortal emperor world migrated to the previously established headquarters in the galaxy. Su Fong activated the headquarters first, allowing the big goblin, slaves, tens of thousands of experts, and the experts of the divine sect to enter the headquarters to rest. In the deep space, only Su Fong, the Lord of Five Poisons, Green Feather King, Li Zuqing, and Sister Yu were left. They looked down at the human sovereign world for a while, and the Lord of Five Poisons looked at everyone. The human sovereign world has always been desolate. Without the protection of the world barrier, it fell into the dust star river. Because of this, it has been hit by dust all year round, and its overall volume has been greatly damaged. Now that we have taken back the human sovereign world, we have to build the world barrier as soon as possible and turn the human sovereign world into a small world. For the human sovereign world to recover its world spirit chi, it will need at least 100 years of self-cultivation before forests can grow on this desolate planet. It was not easy to turn a desolate planet into a small world. Taking back the human sovereign world was only the first step. Next, they had to build the world barrier. Moreover, in the world barrier, they probably could not fight at this time. They were all heavily injured, and their spiritual chi was almost exhausted. In the end, everyone returned to the headquarters, but the space in the headquarters could not accommodate tens of thousands of people. Su Fong first sucked the big goblin into the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda to make some space. Finally, he moved the headquarters into the human sovereign world, embedding it in the center of the earth where the third prince was secretly absorbing the essence of the world. In this way, the world spirit chi of the human sovereign world was available for everyone to cultivate. Li Haojia also met up with Su Fong with a blood wraith true demon. The blood wraith strength was now extremely terrifying. After devouring those poison men and fusing them with the immortal insect's poison, even the Lord of Five Poisons did not dare to come into contact with the poison gas. As for Li Haojia, during this time, he had also recovered a lot of his strength. He also gave all the treasures he had obtained to Su Fong. In order to let everyone recover faster, Su Fong activated his life-bonded magic treasure. With the support of the junior commander's magic power, he drew out the power of the underground world and created a natural barrier that enveloped the headquarters. In this way, the natural spirit chi flowed into the cavern continuously, allowing everyone to cultivate. Su Fong also let everyone rest first. This time, everyone needed a long time to recharge their energy. The entire human sovereign world returned to silence. Everywhere was desolate. Deep in the Earth's core from the cavern, there was a barrier that went all the way to the Earth's core. The formation that the third prince and the left and right elders set up was still standing on top of the origin stone spirit vein. Su Fong cultivated alone in this spirit vein. He devoured a large amount of immortal blood essence and cultivated the 9 yang, 9 transformations. In order to recover faster, he also absorbed the 9 yin true chi, allowing his body to enter the true chi dual cultivation state. This way, his recovery speed was clearly faster. Su Fong's injuries this time were indescribable. His entire body was almost destroyed by the lightning element. Fortunately, his body was extraordinary and there were other external forces that neutralized part of the attack. Otherwise, he would have been in real danger. It gradually settled down, and another period of time passed. Suddenly, a figure passed through the formation channel and arrived at the center of the formation. Master turned out to be Su Jinhua, the former crown prince of Jinhua, the adopted son of the emperor of Xinyuan Empire. Su Jinhua. Su Fong floated in a cross-legged state and slowly opened his eyes. His eyes were as calm as an ancient well. You are a smart person. I don't care if you are feigning obedience to me or are truly willing to serve me. I will only say one thing. Even if you're the adopted son of Xinyuan Emperor, what kind of resources and power did he give you? Can you become someone like the third prince? With me here, you can't become the crown prince, but I can give you any resources you want. I won't restrict you, but it depends on how much power you have. The more powerful you are, the more limitless your achievements will be. This is something that the Xinyuan Empire can never give you, and Xinyuan Emperor will never let an outsider like you truly enter the royal bloodline. I will be very direct. I hope you don't have any disloyalty, otherwise your end will be very miserable. Su Jinhua was really able to keep his composure, his face full of calmness. From now on, this subordinate is Master's servant and will follow Master forever. That Xinyuan Empire is already a thing of the past, because Master's words are very correct. The Xinyuan Empire really can't give me anything. They also treat me as an outsider, giving me status, but I will never be a true member of the imperial family. Soon, when I build the barrier of the human emperor world, around 100 years later, I will make a move against the Xinyuan Empire. I just want you to know that I, Su Fong, don't just want to be the realm lord of a human emperor world. There are more small worlds in my eyes. In the future, whether the Xinyuan Empire will dominate the galaxy or I, Su Fong, can't say for sure. Go tell those tens of thousands of Xinyuan Empire's experts to cultivate honestly. If someone secretly contacts the Xinyuan Empire's experts, I can kill them all. If they don't work for me, what's the point of keeping them by my side? This subordinate will take care of this matter. After receiving the order, Su Jinhua immediately left the geocentric array. Fortunately, he had recovered a bit, less than 1/10, but at least it would allow Su Fong to speed up his physical body and integrate all kinds of resources. Looking at the situation inside his body, the injuries were still too obvious. His meridians were damaged, and most of them had not healed. If it wasn't for the Black Lotus true body, he would not have recovered so quickly. The essence of the Gourd spirit tree, the dragon-taming wood's left arm, and the immortal's blood had the biggest impact on his recovery. Third Prince. Gradually, a headless body appeared in front of him in the array. The Third Prince. His body was full of lacerations, and his bones were completely broken. This was Su Fang's most powerful attack, combined with a Tao artifact. The Third Prince's aura's core is full of the essence of the human emperor world and the primordial god world. If the Xinyuan Empire want to spy on the human emperor world, can I swallow the essence of the primordial god world in the Third Prince's body and find a way to seize the Xinyuan Empire in the future? This time, he not only obtained the essence of the human emperor world, but also the primordial god world. Big gift. This was really a big gift. It just so happens that it will merge with the human emperor world on a deeper level. It will merge with everything the Third Prince has obtained. Vermilion Emperor, 9-segment Earth Dragon. Under Su Fang's command, the two big goblin appeared on his left and right. Su Fang had them go to the periphery of the geocentric array and lay in ambush. He had to be very careful. Who knew if the top experts of the Xinyuan Empire would come looking for him? It was better to be careful. The two big goblin both had Tao artifacts. Even if the Xinyuan Emperor came, he would not be able to hurt Su Fang. After doing all this, Su Fang began to use the illusory fire cloud to burn the Third Prince's body. He released the divine image to control the divine aura to prevent any aura from leaking out. As expected of a top expert, the process of burning the Third Prince's body took some time. When it was turned to dust, a large amount of essence from the Divine Emperor's primordial god scripture, the human emperor world, the primordial god world, and some immortal chi intertwined into a human-shaped energy ball. This was the power that the Third Prince had cultivated in his life without a physical body. He directly absorbed the golden core in the depths of the energy ball into his body. He planted it into the golden core origin. Since the last time he cultivated the Divine Emperor's primordial god scripture, the golden core origin had become a space where the Emperor's chi was condensed. Seven-Star Child would probably vomit blood if he knew that the golden core he used to cultivate his second doppelganger was used by Su Fang to cultivate the way of the Emperor. He first absorbed the golden core into his body. Then, he looked at the energy ball. This was the Emperor's true chi, formed by the fusion of many forces. Su Fang activated his palms and directly absorbed the human-shaped energy ball with his palms. It was as if the Third Prince was still alive, and that was his soul. The energy was like silk being peeled out of a cocoon. It was sucked into his body bit by bit. The Emperor's true chi was too miraculous. It also contained the primordial god world and the human emperor world's origin. At this moment, it was like a blessing. Su Fang's recovery speed was obviously improved. At this moment, the primordial god world's origin in his body began to merge with the Emperor's true chi. This saved Su Fang many years and allowed him to merge with the primordial god world faster. Gradually, Su Fang felt the Emperor's chi increase in his body. His breathing, his gaze, and the process of circulating his chi were all involuntarily filled with a sense of control. This was the Emperor's chi. He was born this way. Even he didn't think that he would accidentally cultivate the way of the Emperor. The way of the Emperor. Who knew how incredible this great Tao would be when cultivated to the extreme? At the same time, Prince Shui's golden core was also fused into his body. Su Fang's overall strength increased crazily. Moreover, this was a strength that Su Fang needed the most right now. Unfortunately, everything that the Third Prince had spent so much effort to obtain was in vain in the end. Instead, it helped Su Fang, allowing him to obtain the power of the human emperor world and the primordial god world in a short time. Chapter 713. At this moment, in the Dust Star River behind the nebulous starry sky. In the depths of the Dust Star River, many experts of the Xinyuan Empire were searching for the aura of the Dust Star River. Above a giant meteorite in the center, there were more than a dozen experts of the Xinyuan Empire floating. The much younger Great Emperor Dipper was also among them. They thought that he was the supreme existence with great power, but they didn't expect him to be standing next to an old man in a dragon robe. This old man had the aura of a supreme emperor and was more than 10 times stronger than the Great Emperor Dipper. Not good. Sanner's aura has already disappeared. Even the life talisman planted in his body and the thunder talisman from the great world have disappeared. The old man in the dragon robe seemed to be secretly sensing the entire Dust Star River. Sanner is dead. Damn it. He caused me to lose a son. I can't sense the aura of the true Realm Crown Prince either, an expert behind reported. He's just a foster son that I took in. I could still take in another one, but losing a son is one less. Pass down my order. Find the Dust Star River. Even if we have to turn it upside down, we have to find it. The old man in the dragon robe thundered. Many experts silently flew in all directions. Seeing that he was still angry, the Great Emperor Dipper said after a while, "Brother, since we can't save Santa, we have to think of a way to find the Dust Star River. Even if we can't get the Dust Star River, we have to make those who blaspheme our empire lose their heads. Do you have any suggestions?" The old man in the dragon robe and the Great Emperor Dipper came to the starry sky alone. Previously, when I was communicating with the Tao One sect, I accidentally learned that the Tao One sect's old fogey who ascended several thousand years ago, who is also Hard Image's biological elder brother, Hard Dao Tian, is about to descend to the lower realm. He is an immortal, and since we have a common enemy, why don't we launch a large-scale cooperation with the Tao One sect? Previously, this emperor had secretly contacted the patriarch of the upper realm. The Tao One sect and the immortals who ascended to the lower realm have a cooperative relationship in the upper realm, and they are cultivating in one of the upper realms. Since that Xian Daotian fellow wants to descend to the lower realm, this emperor can also request for one of the patriarchs to descend to the lower realm with Xian Daotian. We can use this opportunity to make use of the two immortals from the lower realm to help us conquer the surrounding lower realms, unify the great cause, and become the supreme ruler of the Star River. That's even better. Xian Daotian is a monster. He's a cultivator of the same generation as us, but he ascended before us. With his talent, he'll probably do well in the great world. Someone killed his brother, so he'll definitely cooperate with us. Not only will we destroy the Five Poison sect, but we'll also take back the Dust Star River. Then it's decided. Since we have this plan, we don't have to rush to find the Dust Star River. Finding them is the same as alerting the enemy. With this Dust Star River in the way, it'll be difficult for us to find them and take back the Dust Star River. Brother, how long will it take for an immortal to descend? It's not easy for an immortal to descend. They have to get permission from the various levels. Ordinary immortals can't descend at all. There might not be an exact time in a short time, but it might take a few hundred years. The immortals of my empire have already taken root in the great world. There are still people who dare to threaten my empire. That's too good. All right, that bastard Lord of Five Poisons and the entire Five Poison sect must be eradicated. We'll skin those evil cultists one by one and nail their heads to my empire's barrier forever. The dragon-robed elder nodded. That's for sure. The Great Emperor Dipper said again, "Brother, there's one more thing. I sent Qin Yuan Ho and other experts to the Zhuotian realm to seize the Xinjia Gate. It seems like they failed. That brat called Su Fong, who destroyed my true body, escaped from the Xinjia Gate again. Should we wait for the immortals to descend and also kill our way into the Zhuotian realm? Especially the Xinjia Gate. Even our ascended ancestors don't have such a peerless Tao artifact. According to the information collected so far, the Xinjia Gate is indeed the most powerful Tao artifact among the known artifacts. This can be planned well. I'll communicate with the upper realm again and see if they know the origin of the Xinjia Gate. However, our focus is still the immortal realm. I heard from the ancestors of the upper realm that the inheritance of the immortal realm also contains a big secret. That's why I spent a lot of effort to get the immortal realm all these years. Now that it's gone, the immortals of the upper realm will definitely be furious. The dragon-robed elder was startled. No matter what, we have to take advantage of the immortals descending to the lower realm to quickly cultivate and prepare. When we get everything, we can ascend together and follow our ancestors to the upper realm. The two peerless experts, who were also the rulers of the Xinyuan Empire, after discussion, they were filled with boiling murderous intent that swept through the galaxy. It turned out that the dragon-robed elder was the current emperor of the Xinyuan Empire. Xinyuan Emperor. No wonder even the great Emperor Dipper was somewhat afraid and polite in front of him. Asterisk, 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 asterisk in the endless starry sky of the nebula. Unlike the starry sky of the world, where the sky and earth would change color and the wind and clouds would surge, there was only silence here. The immortal realm floated in the depths of the nebula, fused with the galaxy like a meteorite. If there was no immortal realm aura, it would be a fool's dream for any expert to find the immortal realm. Master, why don't you stay for a while? I'm afraid that the Xinyuan Empire is vigorously searching in the dust starry sky. Several figures, leading tens of thousands of experts of the Five Poisons divine sect, gradually flew out of the immortal realm. Li Ziqing, Green Feather King, the Lord of Five Poisons, and sister you came out side by side. The Lord of Five Poisons said, I've already discussed with this kid. This time, we'll seize the immortal realm and defeat the Xinyuan Empire. They'll definitely think that it's my doing and won't use any means to deal with my sect. We can't let the Xinyuan Empire take advantage of this loophole. The two old antiques were helpless. In the end, they could only cup their fists and say, in that case, I wish you a safe journey. After the Lord of Five Poisons returned the salute, he and sister you led the mighty experts and gradually left the depths of the nebula. Sect Master is a reliable ally. Green Feather King sighed softly. When he couldn't see anyone, he returned to the Zhuotian realm with Li Ziqing. Deep in the Earth's core, Su Fong, who was in the midst of recovery, condensed some seals with his blood as the main force and sent them into the huge spirit stone vein in front of him. The blood seals also contained the essence of the immortal realm's inheritance. It turned out that he had already begun to fuse with the immortal realm. Fusing with the world not only required one to grasp the power of the world, but also to use one's own blood as a blood sacrifice in the world's essence. In a way, it was similar to fusing with a magic treasure. In the depths of a world, there were countless spirit stones and spirit veins formed by the essence of the world. To become a realm master, one had to first grasp a large amount of the world's essence, then find a space with even more essence, and then fuse one's own blood with the world's essence. In addition, Su Fong had the immortal realm's inheritance, which was the result of countless years of cultivation. Now that it had fused with Su Fong, the immortal realm's inheritance was a bridge between Su Fong and the world. As a primer, it allowed Su Fong and the small world to fuse further. Of course, this was only the beginning of the fusion. Currently, my cultivation is not enough, far from enough. I can only do this first and try to fuse with the immortal realm. This way, I will be able to use the power of the world in the immortal realm, and it will be easier to create world barriers in the future. Cultivation is still the main problem. If my cultivation is not enough, I will not be able to control the immortal realm. For now, I have to take one step at a time, at least after fusing with the immortal realm. Even if the Xinyuan Empire's army comes, I will have the confidence to confront them. Buzz! Su Fong stopped condensing the blood seals and stopped cultivating at the same time. In the divine aperture, Yu was worried. Master, you have only recovered less than 30%. It's fine. 30% is enough. This way, my physical body can be in a self-recovering state. I have to find more of the world's origin now. After standing up, he absorbed the two big goblin into his body. He flew out of the Earth's core and came to the surface. After leaving the surface, he could naturally sense the world's origin space in the Earth's core. This was the result of fusing with the blood seals. Once he fused with more blood seals, he would be able to sense more of the world's power and use it. Su Fong urged the power of the full circle, The divine image, Jade, Annulus, cooperated with him, and the inheritance of the human sovereign in his body. The young infant in his divine aperture suddenly split into countless phantoms, flying out from Su Fang's pupils in all directions. Carrying Su Fang's sensing ability and the aura of the human sovereign's inheritance, they flew towards the desolate surface of the immortal realm. While waiting, the young infant kept sensing some intense aura of the world's origin. However, it was not what he was looking for, so he continued to wait. Fortunately, he had the true demon blood plate. Using it to activate the heavenly demon disintegration seal and provide energy for the young infant, Su Fang would not feel tired. The young infant continued to split into thousands of images and slowly searched the desolate surface. In the end, this wait, it took more than 10 years. When he retrieved the young infant, he had a great harvest. He could sense more than 100 locations that contained the intense aura of the world's origin. Then he activated his teleportation speed and quickly arrived on a large piece of land. He activated the human sovereign's inheritance power and fused it with the power of his natal magic treasure to penetrate into the depths of the earth. In less than an hour, he arrived at the core of the earth and saw an underground spiritual spring river. The entire underground river was formed by a strand of origin essence. Therefore, the world's power here passed through the space where the third prince had appeared. After planting the blood seal in this space, he returned to the surface and went to the second place. Just like that, he planted his own blood seal in each place. The world's origin he encountered was mostly the same. If it was not origin yuan stones, then it was origin essence. There were also origin crystal mines, natural underground rivers, natural underground caves, and countless amounts of earth core spiritual liquid. It was inconceivable. If he had not obtained the human sovereign's inheritance, he would not have known that such an astonishing space existed in the core of a small world. Su Fang planted his blood seal as fast as he could. After going back and forth, he spent more than 30 years before he finally managed to plant his blood seal in each of the world spaces. When I reach the Ascension realm in the future, I might be able to use the limitless clone to plant blood seals. This way, I can save time. Floating in the galaxy and looking down at the human sovereign world, he activated his blood seal. Immediately, he could clearly feel the world's power coming from hundreds of places. It was incomparably abundant. Finally, he calmed down. After a simple calculation, he raised an astonished expression. Since I left the Zhuitian world and came to the human sovereign world, almost 100 years have passed. 100 years had passed. Su Fang cannot believe it. He was already a cultivator who had cultivated for more than 300 years. He had never thought that a mortal's lifespan could reach 300 years. The world's barrier is even more difficult. I have only recovered 40%. I don't have the ability to create a world's barrier. The remaining matter, which was also the most important one, was to create the world's barrier and put on a set of clothes for the planet. But to put on this set of clothes was something Su Fang could not do. I can't do it alone. First, I need to be at the Ascension realm. Secondly, I need more external help. Although there are tens of thousands of people, they have not recovered. It will take some time for them to recover. I have not recovered either. He began to calculate in his heart.